Show me your moves.
And good evening, Wall Street bets lurkers, and welcome to another episode of Geek Life, your source for all the nerdy news you need to know. If you're new to the show, we're about a 2.5 hour mashup of all the pop culture news you know and love. We talk about TV, video games, movies, and as well as the downfall of capitalism, apparently. I am your host, The Dodd, the streamer this podcast needs, but not the one it deserves. And joining me today is a man whose headband says Supreme, but his beard screams, "We shall bring glory to Valhalla." Jake the Great. How are you doing today, Jake?
I'm doing great. I've actually been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla again, so that's a great intro there.
I felt like that. I was vibing with it. You know, there was a sixth sense that was coming in there that connected that to the intro here.
Exactly.
But more importantly, sorry, it's not your first time here, Jake. Joining us for the first time ever, a sax so fat it will make your jean buttons pop. The fattest sax is here. How is it going, Sax? And congrats on making it not just to the show this week, but affiliate status on Twitch as well.
Hey, thank you so much, Dodd. Appreciate y'all for letting me on this week. It's great being here. Making it to affiliate status this past week was it was a milestone. It was a great one to make, and I'm glad to have you guys support and other people support. And it's been a good week. That's all I can say.
It's been a real good week.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah. Right. yeah. It's been a good week for a lot of people. It's been a bad week for some people. There's just been a lot going on recently. How have you guys been surviving the apocalypse lately?
Jake, a lot of TV still.
TV.
Watching WandaVision. Obviously, this past week, I won't go deep into it, but this week it was heating up. It's fucking hibachi time, baby. Like it's
right. We got a lot of answers this last episode, and I thought that was nice.
And it's awesome because I think last week, we actually, made a couple bold claims that ended up, kind of coming to fruition in this one. So it was nice to see,
right?
Some of the theories, that ended up being true. So I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it's definitely heating up. And I've just finished Search Party too, season 4 that was on HBO Max. That one I've heard a few people talking about it. It hasn't been super popular, but I think it's TBS had it, and then it got picked up by HBO Max, and I think I talked about it last week too. I've just been raving about it shit to everybody, so I'll quit rambling about Search Party, but watch Search Party.
Go check it out. Well, Sax, I know that you've been putting out some videos this past week, and you've been playing some games. Tell us what have you been playing?
Just recently on stream, just picked up Yakuza 0. I had earlier. In December, I had played through Yakuza Like a Dragon. It was the first game in the installment that I'd ever played, and I absolutely loved it. It's in my top 10 of all time. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go through the series. So I've been playing that. And then, a couple of games here and there for the YouTube channel, going through Shenmue, going through Halo, and I've got a Sims video dropping. So there's
nice.
So, yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, before we get started, everyone, we want to take a quick reminder that if you like what you see or hear on the show tonight, be sure to follow us here at Geek Life or on any of our socials. We got a really poppin' YouTube page where we're putting out a lot of cool new content. You should definitely check that out. But we're also on Twitter, Instagram, now on TikTok. We just put out a couple videos on TikTok this week as well. Jake put out a banger video, and I put out one too. So you guys should definitely go check those out. And also join our Discord as well. Wait, sorry, Jake.
I was just going to say, if you want to see Dodd do the Renegade, right? Be sure to follow.
Exactly. Anyways, I lost track of where it was. Oh yeah, join our Discord, join all of our social medias. But if you can't get even enough of that and you need to stalk us on our personal socials, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Roos Bane. Jake, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch and the Twitterverse, both at Gonzo Gone Live.
And how about you, Sax? Oh, sorry.
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Javen Shepherd, and on Twitch at _fattest_sax.
All right. Well, We've got a fantastic show, so let's get right to it. Jake, hit us with that rundown.
You got a rundown for your rundown to rundown. It's time for the rundown. And we need to make a headline thing for that, like a nice little, anyway, a little video that plays across. But this week in the headline section, we got a ton of news from the world of TV, movies, and video games. From devs asking fans to stop clapping Keanu cheeks to HBO Max getting a static shock to the system. We got all the nerdy news you need to know coming up. Plus, what everybody's talking about. Gamestonks. What's up with that? Then we're going to be breaking down our first ever free game of the month, because what's better than a review to let you know if a free game is worth the hard drive space. And as always, we're diving deep into this week's deep dive, New Nerds, a conversation on what it means to be a nerd in 2021. Then we'll wrap things up with this week's Top Zen, the top 10 things that we're looking forward to in 2021. But enough of the tip. It's time for this week's headlines. Sax, give the people what they want. Hit them with all the nerdy news that they need to know.
Thank you, Jake. All right, for the headlines. First up, PlayStation files patent for technology that lets spectators mess with you in VR. PlayStation has filed a patent for technology that lets audience members participate in virtual reality content, making decisions for the active player, or just messing with them. The patent was filed in October 2020, but was recently published. You can find the front page with a useful illustration of the technology in action on the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office website. Next, Cyberpunk 2077 devs ask fans to stop having sex with Keanu Reeves. Cyberpunk 2077 fans have been creating mods for the game to change all sorts of things, from the mini map to the weather. Their demand for saucier mods exists as well, as players love romancing characters in Night City. But CD Projekt Red has shut down a tweak that allows players to approximate sex with Johnny Silverhand, a major character played by Keanu Reeves. Also, Tim Drake added to Titans. Earlier this week came news that young actor Jay Lyakrugo was confirmed to play Tim Drake in the third season of HBO Max's Titans. Coincidentally, Lyakrugo had a minor role in the upcoming Batman, playing a member of the face-painted gang that Batman fights and is featured in a trailer. The current Robin, Jason Todd, played by actor Curran Walters, will travel down his own dark path and most likely become the violent vigilante, the Red Hood.
Dave.
That's what I got.
So
Doc,
yeah, no, sorry. I was going to say, Dowd, what are you thinking about this PS5 VR patent? I know that you're a big fan of the PlayStation. You're a resident PlayStation guy, right? So you got to tell us, how do you feel about your friends being able to mess with you in VR?
The first thing I think about is like long distance tickling. Like, I just feel like that's just a weird thought to have, like just got that. I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do with that kind of technology, for sure. What is going to be done with it? I'm not sure. It's interesting to see that that PlayStation is investing so much in this, though, because if you think about it, of all the forefront things so PlayStation has gone. They've always been for the hardcore gamer. Nintendo's been always the kind of people that would try stuff like motion capture and things of that nature. Now, PlayStation has done some of that in the past, but to see them really kind of going, into not just more into the VR sector, which we know they've been dabbling in the VR sector for a while now, but really trying to get even more sensations out of it. I think that's pretty interesting, and I'm just grabbing popcorn for this story. That's what I'm saying. I'm waiting to see where this goes. But I am interested about Tim Drake being added to the Titans, especially because I saw when I was scrolling through gathering images for the show, I saw Lyakrugo, I believe is how you say it. I saw his picture from Batman from the Batman trailer, and I was like, "There's no way." They just look similar, right? That's not the same guy. No, straight up same dude. And so it's funny that he's ended up replacing Jason Todd when canonically, is that a right way to say that? Or at least from the trailer, if the trailer exists in the Batman universe and that same Batman universe is the same one in Titans, then he kind of would have taken a more Jason Todd route.
Canonically? Yeah,
Canonically?
canonically.
I feel like that's a word, right?
Close enough, right? Yeah. Who cares if you just made it? We'll go with it.
Thanks.
Yeah. But Sax, what are your thoughts on Tim Drake being added to the Titans?
I think that's a good look. Got another member of the Bat family being added to Titans, and replacing Jason Todd. Saying we were talking about him being the Red Hood, so that's fantastic. Because really, you can't have the Titans unless you have a Robin. And Dick is already Nightwing at this point, so it's like somebody's got to fill that gap. And it's actually pretty cool that he's in there. However, comment did not come without some controversy. With Jay like
Always
added. Unfortunately, race is the issue for this, but it's actually kind of convoluted in this case because in Tim Drake's character, he does have some Asian descent, and that has been replaced with the actor that's going to be him is black. So we got a people in an uproar. There is a tweet here that literally states Tim Drake is white, and if you want to add black people so bad, write original character or use the already established actual black characters. And I'm like, yikes, that's kind of wild. But besides the IRL news, definitely looking forward to the actual show and what Tim Drake has to offer.
I do not understand
100%.
why people try to cling to the whiteness of characters. There's a million white characters, man. Like there's like you don't need there's no white Black Panther that is ever needed because you have a zillion white characters out there to fucking choose from. And if one person wants to go over and change that character to a different race to kind of make superheroes look more as Jake would say like the average everyday life kind of situation, then fucking go for it. But like I don't get the people that fucking want to die on the hill of this is a white character and it should remain white.
Yeah, never made any sense.
Now with Tim Drake's situation, it is a little bit different with the erasure of the Asian heritage. I don't know how you navigate those waters and what necessarily side you need to lean on there. And I think that argument is a little bit stronger than the people that are just the Twitter riots that you'd seen that you were talking about, Sax.
Yeah, it's a little, like I said, a little convoluted, a little messy because it's like, okay, so it's like, can you complain about him not having the Asian heritage? Complain about, like, there's so many ways to go about it, but that's not up to me.
It's good that a couple tweets don't represent everybody, though.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we would be in a scary situation if a couple of tweets represented everybody.
No, for real though, because I always love when the news is like people are in an uproar, and then it's like 3 tweets, and you're like, okay, like maybe those people, but like everybody else is like, who cares? Yeah, Tim Drake, making black, I don't care. Like it's
right.
And so like it doesn't affect anybody else's like normal everyday life. Really, it's just it's wild to see some of these people go crazy about things like that.
But as far as these stories, though, we're really bearing the lead on this whole thing. Everyone's having sex with Keanu. Like, what's going on here? Jake, your thoughts on CD Projekt Red?
No, as a resident guy who can play Cyberpunk because his PC won't explode, but it did explod once, but now it's good again. As that guy,
Keanu, is that what happened?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I actually haven't
modded.
I haven't modded anything yet because I haven't been brave enough to like try to, because the game's already pretty like spotty when it comes to like bugs and glitches and everything like that. And I know mods can just add more chaos. And so I haven't really tried any mods, but I've seen people talking about them. And this one in particular, you could basically get Keanu skin on a Joy Toy, which is basically like a prostitute in Night City. And so people were basically clapping Keanu cheeks, and or Keanu was clapping their cheeks. It depended on what they were feeling, And so but CD Projekt Red, even though they've actually been pretty chill with mods up to date, they shut this one down real quick because they were just like, yo, we did not pay. Keanu actually, I believe, called them and was like, I didn't get paid enough for that, and they were just like, okay, well, we need to shut it down.
Yeah. Shut it down. Shut down the Keanu sex. Push the Keanu sex button.
Sex with Johnny Silverhand has been possible until now, but it may be possible again. We'll see.
We'll see.
Fingers crossed, everyone.
Well, Sax, we got some more headlines too. Let's. I know we took a checkpoint here, but let's keep on going.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, moving on to next. Game streaming viewership nearly doubled during the pandemic. A new study shows that overall viewership across Facebook Gaming, Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube Gaming was up 78.5% to a total of 27.9 billion hours. Twitch still occupies the top spot among the three platforms with 90% of the market share of hours streamed compared to Facebook and YouTube. Mixer shuttered in July.
RIP.
Right?
Rip.
With its users transitioning to Facebook Gaming in June.
F's in chat for Mixer.
Big facts. Next, because I used to be a Mixer, man. Oh, gosh. Anyway, next, G4 confirms revival of X-Play and Attack of the Show for 2021. That's right. G4 has officially confirmed that X-Play and Attack of the Show will be returning in summer 2021. The news was confirmed on G4's Twitter in a teaser video that featured the show's logos, the voice of X-Play host Adam Sessler, plus the text,
Oh, wow.
"We heard you. The Legends return. Summer 2021. We never stopped playing." I am so excited about that.
Hey.
And lastly, Static Shock is coming to HBO Max. The popular animated series Static Shock is finally getting a chance to shine on one of the major streaming services. It should come as no surprise that the series is going to be added to the HBO Max lineup, as the service is a de facto home for most DC movie and television content.
No.
All 52 episodes of the Static Shock series will be added to HBO Max on February 15th, allowing more fans to hop on the show's bandwagon. There it is.
Very true.
Yeah.
Like, that is a bandwagon worth jumping on too.
Big facts.
That is a bandwagon worth jumping on, especially with, I mean, Static Shock was just absolute classic back in the day. And we were talking about it a little bit before the show. And it's not just the fact that you have it's really not just the fact that you have a black character. It's just so much more than that. It's the storylines and the realness that it brought. I mean, obviously for people of color, but just for people in general that didn't live,
Good storytelling.
Who
Is
weren't
good
the
storytelling.
valedictorians of their school kind of thing, who weren't, the quintessential, kid that they wrote about in comic books in the 1970s,
Right.
So I think that's seeing Static Shock getting a resurgence, that's a big good one. Jake, what are your thoughts on a streaming? Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, and I hope it leads to more Static Shock stuff.
Yeah, for real. But streaming hit at all time new highs. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Jake, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, right? We're all locked inside. I think more people are jumping on. The big thing on that, though, is Zach saying 90% still coming from Twitch. Like, I knew Twitch had the biggest market share, but like, dude, that's domination. Like, that's like
crazy.
And with Mixer shutting down and going to Facebook and not, like that just in Facebook, I guess, not investing the time to try to regrow that community or do anything with it. That's it's kind of insane, man. Like, basically Amazon owns all of, like game streaming right now. 90%. They have a 90% market share on that. They own Whole Foods. God. Dude. They it's Amazon. They're a behemoth. And so,
right.
And I think people forget Amazon owns this thing. So
right. You can win capitalism so well that you just own everything else. And it's not that you have a monopoly, but you have such a stranglehold on every other market that you have a monopoly on just America.
No, dude, not me literally just coming to the realization that like Amazon is essentially one of the companies from the outer worlds where it like owns a planet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And so if you guys hadn't played the Outer Worlds, like it's literally game. Like a corporation from out of it. Like, oh my God.
That game, just a little short sidetrack. That game was so much fun for me because I went into that game, and I think I've talked about this a little bit on the show before. I went into that game and I tried my best to make the most anti-capitalist decisions that I could. And like that's what I went in and I was like, I saw that the game was making fun of capitalism in general, and I was like, okay, I'm going to see how this game treats me if I'm just a raging anti-capitalist in everything that I do. And I ended up in a cult. So, that's
ended up in a cult.
That's how it works.
That's just how it goes sometimes. But
yeah,
Dodd, how are you feeling about X-Play and Attack of the Show coming back? Are we going to have some competition heating up, or are we going to have to?
Look, I created this show. I was talking. I think I talked with you, Sax, about this the other day, and I created Geeklife to fill the void that G4 made when it went off the air, and I really felt like, G4, especially in its heyday, was really, really forming its own demographic. And like, it was a part of the rise of the new nerd, which we'll be talking about later on today, or later on in the show. And I think that having it come back it's more than just like I'm excited about it. Like I'm excited about Godzilla versus King Kong. I'm exuberant. Like this means that I have something that I can put on my TV, throughout the day and not have the news, going on. I can actually watch, X-Play, go through, reviews of terrible games. You know how awesome it is to see reviews of terrible games? They're really entertaining, guys. Like it's great. And I don't know. I have a lot of nostalgic memories about G4. I could go on forever, but Sax, I know that you were super stoked to hear about it too. What do you think?
It's a long time coming, man. I've been jonesing for that type of content, and this is why I came to you guys. And I was like, oh my god, this fills that void because other than waiting for E3 to happen and stuff like that, or any type of convention with games, like I really don't have anything. So where G4, that was all the time, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, cops, cheaters, or Esquire, I'm not going to go there, but yeah, all of that good stuff.
No, it did go downhill towards the end, unfortunately. I think they were trying to tank it.
It felt like it sometimes, right? It certainly felt like it sometimes. I mean, I never understood why cops even fit that demo anyways. I never understood why cheaters fit that demo anyways. It felt like I don't know. It felt like they pulled me in as a consumer. Right. And then when you put that in front of me, it's like, who do you think I am? Right. This is not the kind of quality content that we enjoy. And I think a lot of people walked away from it at that point in time because of that.
The old school game shows made way more sense. They used to try to fill time between the original headline or the original content with old school, game shows Japanese and other things shows, And that always, I was like, fuck yeah, I'll throw that on the background.
Oh yeah. That was great.
But yeah.
And I agree 100%. So, but these stories are small potatoes compared to what happened this week, right? Like we're burying the lead intentionally here. That's obviously not all the news that happened this week. Unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard gamers have joined together to take down hedge funds by exposing them for the fungazi that it is. Jake, can you tell us a little bit more about what's been going on with Wall Street bets?
Fugazi. No. It's that's the whole line from The Wolf of Wall Street. So anyway, which is the big reason why we're all here right now, because GameStop was. So if like Dodd said, if you haven't heard anything, basically what I'd like to do now is kind of just break down what the hell happened. With essentially, if you understand what happened, you're probably going to be like, okay, well, this is going to be another boring 5-minute explanation. If you don't, I'm hoping I made this to where everybody can pretty much be like, okay, now that makes a little sense, or at least somewhat, right? So GameStop was seen as a company that was in trouble. Their business model of brick and mortar stores for game sales and rentals, was under pressure due to people purchasing digital copies, ordering online, and COVID. Obviously, COVID was the final blow in most retailers, right? But this was picked up on by some hedge funds who thought that the company would face bankruptcy in the near future, which would render their shares effectively worthless. So they bet against GameStop by shorting their shares. So a lot of people are probably wondering, what the hell does that mean? Shorting shares is the practice of borrowing shares, selling them, waiting for the price to go down, buying them back at a lower price when that happens, and then giving them back to the lender. It's a buy low, sell high, but in reverse order. So rather than betting a stock will rise by buying it now and plan to sell later when it's worth more, you sell now and plan to buy later when the price is lower. Simply put, I'm Wall Street, and I borrow a pillow, not from the My Pillow guy, just a normal pillow that I have to give it back.
Important distinction.
I borrow this pillow and I have to give it back on the 29th, right? I sold the pillow for $100 thinking that I could buy it back for $50 before the 29th. Reddit fucks then bought the pillow I borrowed, and now I can only buy that pillow back for $3,000. Tomorrow is the 29th, and I don't have $3,000. So anyway, the internet, notably Wall Street Bets, picked up on an enormous amount of GameStop shares that were being sold short, and to the tune of 120% of available shares currently. Now, two important things came into play. One, when you borrow a share, the contract will specify a date by which you need to return it. Two, when you buy a stock, the most you can lose is the value of the share. You buy shares for 1 million, the company goes bankrupt, shares become worthless, you lost your 1 million, you cannot possibly lose more. When you go short, however, if you short sell 1 million worth of shares, your potential loss is unlimited. If the value of those shares tripled to 3 million, you now owe 3 million worth of shares to the lender. If it triples again to 9 million, you now owe 9 million worth of shares. Short selling is inherently risky that way. So that's the biggest risk whenever it comes to, buying shorts. And if you've seen The Big Short, you're probably like, okay, now all of it makes sense. But in comes Reddit and Wall Street Beats. They figure that maybe if enough people could be convinced to buy GME, which was GameStop stocks, first, the price will naturally rise if enough people want to buy. And secondly, one day those short sellers will be forced to buy them at market price. And if a lot of them have to do so, the price should rise spectacularly because the short sellers must buy. So GME stock indeed started to rise. Spectacularly so. Worth $10 a few months ago, it went up to over $300 last week, and I believe even hit a high over $400. And this was a stock literally weeks ago that was worth $10. GME is worth $13.5 billion right now. It was worth less than $500 million a few months ago. So in short, it is skyrocketed in value for what is essentially a dead brick and mortar store. If they effectively do, the company having been short sold multiple times, that means that there were red numbers on the short sellers' books right now for about $15 billion. So essentially all of these hedge funds and everybody who had shorted the stock is down around 15 bill right now, which is, nothing to really sneeze at. They're not, these aren't rich individuals. These are companies that then take money from rich individuals and then give it out, into different investments. So basically they're losing rich people's money, and retirement money and a bunch of other things. But anyway, if they effectively do need to return a large amount of borrowed shares simultaneously, they will need to buy them, driving up the price even further. And every percent of the share price goes up, that 15 billion in the red goes up by 1%. So I will not speculate on the future, right? Like what's going to happen next. I'm not going to tell you guys that GameStop shares are going to continue to increase, but that is what a lot of people are thinking, considering that the only way that these hedge funds can make up the $15 billion that they've lost right now is to essentially buy the shares at the higher rate that they are right now, which will continue to drive the share price up, which will continue to cause this bleeding out. And so it's kind of one of these weird things where like, by Reddit exposing short selling, they have just really exposed the economy for a little bit of the sham that it is. And so, but anyway, I'm not here to give you financial advice. This was not financial advice. As a matter of fact, I'm probably legally obligated to say that, I don't understand anything that I'm talking about. But this rocket ship is going to the moon, and I am here for it.
Right.
But did either of you guys get in on the GME craze?
No, I'm not invested in the stocks. I went to you to see if it was too late for me to get in, and I've been working on stuff all week. But I think that at first I was mad that people could have such power over the market and that people could just control things through internet forums. But then I realized what they were using that control to do. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm very pro eat the rich. I am very, very much for distribution of wealth. And as far as distribution of wealth goes, this was some major wealth redistributing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a shitload of major wealth redistribution. A lot of you got guys like, what was his name? Deep fucking Value. That's the like king in Reddit right now. That dude owns like millions of dollars of GameStop shares, and he's like, I'm holding. You know, he's like, I'm not selling for shit. Like, we're gonna put these guys in a vice. And so now it's really become a rich versus us, essentially the internet in a way, right? But what's crazy is you've even got rich folks jumping in on it. Elon's tweeted about his support. Mark Cuban came out pretty vocal about the fact that like this was phenomenal, right? And like, so there's a lot of like mixed emotions because people are just like, all right, but then when rich people start agreeing with us, did they make money in it too? Like what's going what's going on?
Elon tries to act like he understands people on the lower class, but
I don't want to shit on Elon. We've got about 12 people watching. One of them is going to be a fucking huge Elon Musk fan. But I could do a whole deep dive into why, like, fucking Elon Musk. But like, anyway.
Sax, what do you think about all this?
For me, unfortunately, I haven't been able to be in the stocks either. But what I do know is that Robinhood definitely was definitely owing people in like the worst way of making sure that you couldn't buy any more stocks in GME. Not just GME too, because I heard things about people not being able to buy stock in AMC, people not being able to buy stock at Bed Bath and Beyond, a couple of things that they were just stopping people from buying stuff. Not only that, they were making people sell the stocks that they had. I've had friends that are doing financially well say, man, Robinhood cost me like $30,000. You know what I'm saying? You're talking, that's nothing to sneeze at. You know what I'm saying? Not somebody that's rich, but somebody that's doing okay, and it's like 30 racks. Like I say, that's a lot of money. And I just love the email they sent. And it's also with, hey, it's been a rough time or a rough.
It's been a rough
day. With that bullshit. How you gonna tell me? How you gonna tell me? But
Robinhood, and I didn't honestly. That is a big thing. So thanks, Sax, because they have been obviously at the core of this story, along with Wall Street Bets and GameStop. It's mostly been going down on Robinhood because of its UI. A lot of your first time investors have been buying on there, and since it lets you do micro trading, which is essentially where you can buy like a piece of a share rather than a whole share. Well, Robinhood has always been known for micro trading. They've always been known to allow like your normal everyday person to be able to buy just parts of an Apple share if they want to, or parts of whatever, right? Well, they shut that off because the hedge funds were bleeding out. They said, no, you can only buy one whole share because GameStop's almost at $400 a share. If we make it to where you can only buy one whole share, not a lot of people can afford to just drop $400 on a share, right? And if they can, they're not buying a lot of shares because right now we're getting basically stabbed repeatedly by a bunch of people, middle America and then lower class, like not necessarily rich people coming and buying up a bunch of these shares right now. It's mostly Redditors. It's people who just got stimmies. And so, and so they were like, if we can just make it to where you can only buy one share at a time, that'll help. Right. And so they did that whenever they unblocked it, because they blocked it for 24 hours, the whole day. They essentially said you can't buy any shares. And what was mostly retail, movie theaters, a bunch of things that were getting shorted. Like you said, Bed Bath and Beyond was one.
They really have no other excuse for why they did that other than the volatility that it was causing in the market, right?
Oh, dude, their only excuse was that they were protecting traders from themselves, essentially. They were trying to say they shut down buying those, because when you really look at it, and this is like, people can be upset, but like at the end of the day, GameStop's fucking dead, bro. Retail's dying, GameStop was dying, it couldn't keep up with digital. We're all buying things on our system. We're either buying them through Steam on here or the Epic Game Store, whatever the fuck we use, right? You're either buying it through the Microsoft Store, you're either buying it through PSN. Right. And so that's where everybody's getting their games these days. And, so GameStop's dead, but its stock, instead of going drastically down, which it should have, and which is what these guys were betting on, it went fucking to the moon. And so that's where like, it's insane because, eventually you got to think it's going to come down, but that's what these guys are saying. If you hold and it stays here, we're putting the squeeze on big money. We're putting the squeeze on hedge funds, and they're going to have to shovel out money to all of us who own stock to like basically let us let go of the stock. And so that's where it's like super fucking interesting. I don't know really, what's going to happen, but at the end of the day, it's insane. Like, GameStop shouldn't be valued that much.
No, I agree. I mean, that's one of the things that Saturday Night Live pointed out was like, is the stock market broken right now? Is GameStop worth that much per share? Is that what that company should be valued at? No? Okay, the stock market's broken then.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like you said, Fugazi. It's all like, the economy, money, and, I didn't just drop a tab of acid, but come on, like it's all just assigned values. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I got you. I mean, in the whole momentum of this is another whole story in itself. I mean, the reason that Dogecoin is on that image there is because Dogecoin that was a
rocket too.
That started a skyrocket too, because people were like, hey, if we can get this done by Reddit, why don't we just get a meme coin currency and then we can just live? I mean, eventually, like what happens when we overthrow capitalism and the entire American system is run off of a meme-centered currency? Mm-hmm. Like, what do we do? The internet just wins?
I just bought you all subs with my Doge.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Well,
I believe the answer though is we become a utopia, Dodd.
No. Is that what it is? I think that's a good. That's a good
or Mad Max, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. One of them in between, somewhere in between Mad Max and Ready Player One. That's where I think we would be somewhere in. Well, GameStop stock wasn't the only thing worth buying this week, or kind of not buying. Anyways, Epic made a Star Wars Battlefront free, and it's clear the force is with this one. It's time for a new segment. Gabe, run that intro. All right. And this week, the free game of the month is Star Wars Battlefront 2. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is our first official free game of the month, and for very good reason. The game picked up an entirely new player base, and a huge one at that, about the size of the population of Chile for the 2017 title. Players who picked up the game during the promotion were given the Celebration Edition of Star Wars Battlefront 2, which includes all the customization content purchasable in-game from launch, all the way up to Battlefront 2's Rise of the Skywalker. Originally, the game was plagued with controversy. Battlefront 2 sold only 9 million copies, which is a steep downfall from its a lot of people boycotted the game. Even after EA disabled in-game purchases, lowered the unlock requirements for iconic characters, and changed the game's entire progression system, fans refused to return to the series. But that all changed when it's free, all right? And boy, was there a lot missed. Battlefront 2 has an amazing storyline, and it's actually beginning to play out in the bigger Star Wars universe. And it has better battle mechanics and mission-based space battles and more. They even have an improved system and made it really fun and easy to play with friends. Most of the multiplayer feels very similar to the average first-person shooter, but with a slight kind of casual twist. I would say the stealth components of the game could use a little work, and the controls are a little bit wonky. There are some animation glitches out there to be worried about, but overall, Star Wars Battlefront takes the cake for a free game. In a month where your only competition was Greedfall and Maneater, Battlefront stands out as a fun game for any Star Wars fan that's an easy to pick up and play with friends on the same system, that is. But yeah, did you guys get a chance to check out any of my Battlefront streams and see what your thoughts were?
So I didn't get to see. I saw a little bit of the stream, but I didn't. I jumped off of Battlefront after the bandwagon after playing it pretty hard. Whenever I had heard that they actually made it good,
Yeah.
I bought it, so I didn't actually get it on the free game thing. I bought it like maybe, I don't know, like 3 or 4 months. Dude, holy shit, COVID's been weird. I have no idea
Yeah.
how long ago I bought that game, but
Time
like,
is weird.
it's honestly, I can see why it drove so many players when it was free. It's a fun game. They actually fixed Battlefront, like, but I guess my big question was, is this enough to make players forget about the most downvoted comment in internet history? Like, did you feel a sense of accomplishment while playing this game, Don?
I mean, I think that this is a buried gem for a lot of people, really.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is something that, because of the controversy, you didn't get to go through what really is an amazing Star Wars story. I mean, honestly, you go through the storyline of Iden Verso, who is a Empire starship pilot for a elite fighter gang, and her fall from the Empire into her rise as a general in the Rebel Alliance. And it's actually it's a great story. It's Finn's story, pretty much, from the actual Star Wars saga, but it's done actually better, like with things that make you care about the character and show that they weren't just written in there to check a diversity token. And I think that all in all, the storyline itself was really what brings it out, but the gameplay, the multiplayer aspect of it, it really, really feels like a Star Wars game, and it really delivers the fan service that a Battlefront game should be asking for. Now, this is without any
paywalls at the beginning. Then
right,
because if this game would have come out. If this game would have been the game that come out, Battlefront would have I think it would have went down as probably one of the better EA Star Wars games ever made. Because honestly, Battlefront 2 was already the best banger of the original Battlefront series back in the day on the original Xbox and everything like that. Battlefront 2 was awesome. And so the fact that when they remade it, they put all this stuff behind a paywall, it pissed everybody off. And so the EA crashed it. But if this game would have come out the way it is now, oh my God. People would have loved it. Would have been it wouldn't have been a free. Well, it may have been free later on because it's been a while since it came out.
It came out in 2017.
Yeah, but it would have went down. It would have not have had the most downvoted comment in internet history.
That's for sure. Yeah, would have done better than that. For sure. But yeah, Sax, you had a question for me, right? About Battlefront.
Oh yeah, for sure. And before I ask you a question, I did watch some of your stream while you were playing Battlefront, and it was actually pretty fun. And I saw that you were playing with a whole different cast of characters, and one of which was Lando Calrissian, and
right,
pretty cool, to see. Just my man had the cape, and it was fantastic. But that's neither here nor there. The question I have for you is the fact that the game is free the only reason that 19 million players were added from just 9 million copies sold?
I really want to just say yes and move on from the question, but I think it's actually a little bit more complicated than that. Yes, with an asterisk. Right. Yes, because I think for me, yes, 100%. I started playing this game because it was free and the opportunity was there, but if there is a good free game out there, there is a ripple effect, okay? And I think the same thing happened with Fall Guys, and that's why Fall Guys really picked up the pace once it was free. They told their friend about it. They told their friend about it. I think it's the same thing with Among Us. It was a free game. Someone told their friend about it. Someone told their friend about it. And I think that ripple effect did more for it than just it being free. I think that cascading effect of, hey, we actually went back to this game, and it actually is really good, is... that I think that brought a lot of people back, or it's not even brought a lot of people back, brought a lot of people into it for the first time. I mean, 19 million is more than the launch for Battlefront 1, and it is twice the amount that they got in the launch for Battlefront 2. It's more than the launch of Battlefront. No, it's not. It's close though. It's almost as much as the launch for Battlefront 2 and Battlefront 1 combined.
Almost goes to show the power of a free-to-play game. If they
right, it really does.
Yeah,
really, really does.
Then you got to be ready for those microtransactions, though. It's give and take.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't faced any microtransactions this time. It feels like they
Well, in this
really
one-
burned their hand on that
Yeah.
at the beginning, and like we never even saw this game because we were like, I'm not even touching it. I'm not even going to financially give
Yeah.
my money towards that. And I remember being one of those people. I remember when this game came out, I was super stoked about it, and there was a new Star Wars movie coming out that was coinciding with it, which brought up the hype. And then one, that movie sucked, and then two, the microtransactions were just such a big pain in the ass that you just didn't want to deal with it.
No.
And becoming free 100% threw me into it. I mean, the Operation Cinder is mentioned in Mandalorian, right? That's where Bill Burr's, that's his whole character, why he's so mad at the Rebel Alliance, and probably what's going to start the whole Bad Batch series on Disney Plus. Operation Cinder is the storyline of Battlefront 2. When you play through Operation Cinder and you understand what that actually is, and it's something that happens right after the Death Star's blown up on Endor. So the fall of the Empire. So it's right after episode 6. Yeah, 6. So again, it's just a really, really amazing. If you're a Star Wars fan, this is 100% a game that you should play, if not for anything but the story. But the multiplayer is great to stick around too. I mean, who doesn't love, mission-based starfighter missions, like mission-based competitive modes, is so much better than just flying around trying to dogfight people. And I think that they really capitalize on this.
The characters too, getting playing it with running around with Kylo Ren. Like I know some people had some beef with Kylo, but Kylo's dope in my opinion. I like Kylo, and so like running around with that.
In some of our B-roll clips, there's some images of Kylo, and Kylo's actually one of the funnest characters to play as.
Oh, dude,
to be honest,
he rocks it in that game. Like no lie, but still. The GOAT is got to be Yoda in Battlefront 2, the original one. Oh my god, that would
where he would flip over and just do that.
You would do crazy backflip shit. Like you were Clone Wars Yoda.
Right?
Which like best Yoda.
But I feel like
hands down best Yoda.
The original Xbox One. I feel like Darth Vader could jump, but like he jumped and hovered, and like he just basically could fly.
Yeah.
And fair.
Well, they made him a god because everybody was like Vader, like
Thanks.
They saw that hallway scene and they're like, yeah, we need more of that in Battlefront.
Yeah.
For real.
But I got to jump back on. I'll definitely give it a try. Is it still free?
I think it is still free, but you have to have an EA account. That's the big thing. It's free on the EA store. So that's the thing. But
that'll and then immediately unsubscribe.
Exactly. That's what I did. I have a reminder on my phone actually to unsubscribe 30 days from when I got the subscription, or 29 days from when I got the subscription. But hey, I mean, like it was free to sign up, and then I think it actually cost me a little bit. It cost me $5 to sign up for EA. So $5 for Battlefront. That's close enough to free for me.
It's basically free.
It's basically free. As long as you have but many people do have an EA account from other games, so that's, it's not unrealistic to actually have that already kind of set for you.
Exactly.
But that will about do it for our headlines and more. We're going to take a short 5-minute break, but before we do, I wanted to thank Littlest Nelly for the subscription. Subscribe for 6 months at tier 1. Thank you so much for that. And Sir My Velveeta for the follow yesterday. We appreciate that very much. We got Sad Gaming, Austin Ray, Caper Doodle, Littlest Nelly, and Supersonic Flash.
Oh shit, the Great
Vastu
Pistachio.
Indeed.
Haven't seen the Great Pistachio in a while.
I know.
What's up, bro?
Greatest Pistachio. What's up? How you guys doing? You doing good? Do you guys have any comment or things in chat that you wanted to call out, guys?
Oh man, what has SAG been going off on?
he was just going on about the stoinks. Yeah, the stoinks.
The stoink market.
Littlest Nelly, I'm super in love with how Star Wars ties in all of its media into one universe. I think that's a reference to Operation Cinder, and I was really cool about that. I thought that was really amazing too. I was like, Operation Cinder, where have I heard that? I was like, that's what Bill Burr's character was freaking out about in Mandalorian. And actually playing through the mission, you understand why he's freaking out about it, and it makes sense. It brings so much depth to that character. So I absolutely love that. Supersonic Flash saying clone Commando is the best class, and that Godzilla is going to win. Look, I'm Team Kong, guys. I'm just telling you right now. Kong can use tools. All right, he's got his fucking axe. I'm just saying, intelligent
nuclear
Kong.
breath.
He can absorb the nuclear breath into his axe.
Yeah, that was just a cute little dream.
That poor city, though.
Yeah, that poor city. The real losers, the millions who died.
It's good to be an insurance agent, and with Godzilla's around, right?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
to make big
coastal
money.
Cities, big money,
big money. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, we're gonna take a short 5-minute break. So we'll catch you guys on the other end of that break. Peace.
All right.
This spring, a new evil rises. An evil that's not just terrifying, but also
sexy as hell. Welcome to Resident Evil Village, a game set in what looks like a cross between the Playboy Mansion and Silent Hill, equipped with a kinky dungeon to tie it all together. Come mingle with the local garbage goth girls and their insatiable appetite to suck your neck. Yeah, they're vampires, right? Most likely your neck.
Definitely your neck.
And be sure to stick around for the Marceline meets Dominatrix with some absolutely killer press-ons. See what has the critics saying, I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me. Am I supposed to be scared or horny right now? Please step on me, big evil vampire lady.
Tread on me.
Coming soon, Leisure Suit Larry to, Resident Evil Village. Pre-order now.
We're back. All right, and we're back. Hey. Hope you guys enjoyed some of those Bernie bits. The memes have not gotten old yet, at least to me. It might just be me, but hey, I'll still keep making the videos then. Thank you.
No, that was a collage of them. So obviously the internet's still making them. So
the internet's still crazy about it. And that was just a portion of them. Like I cut a bunch out that aren't in there. Yeah. Anyways, rough transition into our deep dive that we have going on. The new nerd. The idea of what it means to be a nerd is changing rapidly. One of our first conversations that we ever had on the very first Geek Life ever, and I'm not talking about here on Twitch, I am talking about on the radio show back in the day at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide,
Roll Tide, roll. And the first conversation we ever had on Geek Life was about geek culture becoming pop culture. Okay. And how that shit has affected our daily lives. Nerds have gone from being the target of high school bullies to bullying rich Wall Street hedge fund owners themselves. Tonight, we're going to the moon to explore all the nuances between the veteran outcast geeks and the Chad nerds of today. Let's start simple and broad. Jake, what does it mean to be a nerd in 2021?
Oh man, I think it's kind of a loaded question because we've talked about it a few times. It's one of those where I think, and it just depends on your definition of nerd, right? I think to me, a nerd is anybody who's like really, really just into anything, right? Like I've always considered it to be like, you can be a sports nerd. I know people who can rattle off like what Peyton Manning's stats were, his MVP seasons, and what years those were, and like who was the Super Bowl or who was the MVP of certain Super Bowls, or who won the World Series certain years. And like to me, that is kind of like it's being a nerd, right? But present day, like it's as everything that was considered like Revenge of the Nerd style nerds, right? Like computers and video games and like, all the stuff that the 80s tried to say was for losers, which is hilarious, right? The Bill Gates one day is getting his head dunked in the toilet and the next day is the richest man on the planet, and it's just like that shift is what it means to be a nerd in 2021. It's basically everybody's a nerd in some level. If you have a hobby that you're super into, you can be a nerd in it, right? And so I think that term in general has just gotten so broad and so diluted that it's not what it used to be, where you were just some like, guy with glasses and a pocket protector, right? Like, crunching numbers. Like I've always been so perplexed by like the mainstream media idea of what a nerd is, especially back in the day. Like that's even changed in how we, show it. Now, like, you'll have an outcast or whatever, but like now we have new tropes, right? Like I work at a tech company. And so people are just like, oh, so you must always wear hoodies. And so, and it's just like, well, yeah, right. But it's mostly for comfort. It's not, it's not like it's part of the uniform. But yeah, anyway, long story short.
I can vouch for this tech company hoodie.
Yeah, no,
similarity.
They always like, it's the hoodies versus the suits, right? Like, we're rocking hoodies and everybody in Wall Street and everything's suit guys, but they're both like, supposedly making money.
Trying to be it to be a trope, but if the trope fits and it fits comfortably in most weathers,
Exactly. But I mean, I guess long story short, I don't really even know what it means to be a nerd in 2021, besides that, we're all nerds in a way. I feel like that anyway. I even think, and this is going to be controversial, the QAnon folks are nerds for that shit. Like they got so deep into it, it became a lifestyle. They're getting tattoos. They bought flags. Like who here hasn't owned a flag for like maybe, or not a flag for it, but maybe some sort of Assassin's Creed paraphernalia or Halo stuff. And like, but we never stormed a Capitol for it.
There were nerds in the group. Okay. For sure. I think that there is a distinguishable difference between cult members and nerds, because like, if
what's a cult but a religious nerd?
No, I can give you a strong distinction. Okay, I would have been, and I know plenty of people that were Harry Potter nerds. Okay, they were very passionate about Harry Potter, but when J.K. Rowling said what she said and did all the things and became transphobic as fuck, especially my trans friends, they were no longer Harry Potter nerds. They knew a lot about it. They weren't very passionate about it. They don't like showing, their knowledge about it, and they might like talking about the stories, but it's all forever kind of scarred by what J.K. Rowling has done. They do not. People can leave cults, yes, it's possible, but it's very, very rare. And the nature of cults, in my opinion, is to cycle people back into it. And I think that there is a distinction between something that you can obsess over and love rationally, versus something that you can obsess over and love irrationally, I guess is how I would put it.
But I would say the line, with that said,
it's
hobby.
Go ahead.
Like I would just say that line is hobby. Like, if you're really extremely into something, but it's just a hobby, then you're a nerd about it, right? Like if you're trying to set it up. But if you're extremely into something and it consumes your entire life so much that you perform terrorist attacks, it's no longer a nerd thing.
I think that's the case. But even with that said, there were undeniably nerds within that. I mean, there was that guy that came up, and this is not a direction I thought this conversation was going to be going about the new nerd, but here we are. There was that guy that everyone thought he was an Antifa communist because they thought he had a hammer and sickle tattoo on his wrist, but it was not Dishonored. That. It was from Dishonored. Yes, It was the disbanded or something like that. But anyways, like that brought up a whole conversation on like, and Jake, I think you've talked to me about this a lot. Whereas when we were talking about the Gina Carano story, right? You were saying like, for me, it puts it puts a bad taste in my mouth seeing Gina Carano. I keep on mispronouncing her name.
She'd mispronounce yours and not care about it.
That's true. Big facts. Big touche. Anyways, she seeing her on screen and everything like that, it still puts like a slight taste in my mouth. Like I don't want to like that character as much as I wanted to like that character before, because of the actress playing her, and because of the public stances that she's made. She's made that part of her brand image, and so you can't separate those two things, especially when you're proud of it and you beat your chest about it. And you said, Jake, these people, as crazy and as batshit as we see themselves as heroes in their own story. They see themselves as the Cara Dunes out there. Yeah. And, it is something that you have to keep in mind with the new nerd as well, is that you can be emboldened by this and by your nerddom. And I think that once you're emboldened by your nerddom to do something irrational, I think it crosses a line, as you were saying, Jake.
The boys got into that too.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, season 2 specifically got into, you know, what makes somebody go from being what's essentially an enthusiast to, you know, someone who's obsessive. And so, like, I think that's like, I know it's like you said, I didn't expect it to go that way, but like that's to like, I think that's the line that draws from a, you know, like to the new nerd, because I think we're all like nerds about something, right? Like, and so there's no longer like this stereotypical, just like, you know, lone wolf loser nerd kid. It's literally like, you know, everybody's kind of like, we're all on the same board. Now it's like, are you just a nerd about it, or like, are you fucking crazy about it? You know, like,
stark difference between the two.
Exactly.
Yeah, stark difference. Sex, what do you think about this? What does it mean to be a nerd in 2021?
Oh man, it's again, it like Jake said, it's a loaded question. What it means to be a nerd in 2021. I mean, just piggybacking off, like anything that you have a deep interest in that you enjoy doing, you know, socially, you know, as a hobby, you know, anything like that, it can be considered, you know, you as a nerd. I will just use me for instance. In high school, I was in band, so I was a band nerd. You know what I'm saying? That's just, you know, what it was. You know, and this is my thought process for most nerds. Let me and if correct me if I'm wrong. You don't care what other people have to say or think about what you're nerdy for.
Most of the time, yeah.
Especially with me, because man, I tell you, in every click, you know what I'm saying? There's something for you, and that resonates with you. So in 2021, I think it's like where 20, 30 years ago, oh, you're a nerd. That's not cool. In 2021, you're a nerd now. Oh, what are you a nerd for? You know, it's like there's inquiry now instead of, you know, spit in your face, drop your books, and kick you down the hallway. You know what I'm saying? It's you know, can we talk at, you know, at Starbucks, for lack of a different place to talk at, about what it is, you know, you're into. So that's me.
I agree. I think that what it means to be a nerd in 2021 is completely different than what it looked like even when, you know, some of those first Spider-Man movies were coming out. Like it looked completely different. And I think that there's a lot of things that play into what made that transition. You know, not too long ago, nerds were still social outcasts. That some nerds still are. Hell, people accredited scientists, people still treat accredited scientists like fucking high school Poindexters half the time. But then again, parts of our country have elevated Fauci to a god level. So maybe, you know, there is some hope. Same can be said for a variety of nerds like Kevin Smith and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I mean, nerds on, again, very, very different levels here that we're talking about. But these are very popular people, right? How has nerd culture become pop culture, Sax?
For me, it's become pop culture in a couple of different ways. I want to say mostly due to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just opinion. I believe superhero movies, them hitting the box office has made it so world widely acceptable.
Yeah.
And people going crazy about that. And in video games as well, where you figure 30 years ago, there weren't as many people playing video games. There's not as many people playing video games 10 years ago than there is today. And then with the pandemic still going on and has been in progress for a year now, there are even more people playing video games. So it's like, you're home. What are you doing? You're nerding out doing something, whether you're on Netflix, whether you're on Amazon Prime, whether you're on a video game, you're doing something like that. And it's become a part of the culture so strong that I really don't see how society today would cope with even the pandemic without nerd pop culture. And that's even considering like even Japanese anime, all of that, like that 100%, it's like is in the pop culture, and that's on the rise. You know what I mean? It's like if you looked at like one of my favorite animes, Fist of the North Star, that's something made in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at Demon Slayer, shit. You know what I'm saying? That's like a very, very different, you know. But Fist of the North Star made way for Dragon Ball, which made way for Naruto, which made way for My Hero Academia. You know what I'm saying? It kind of just did that kind of thing where over time, these things began to get more popular. And yeah, that's how it became pop culture, because more people are into it. And they're like, you know what? This is not as weird as I thought it was. And I kind of like it.
It's interesting because when we talked to Jim Viscardi,
Mhm.
like you were saying, Sax, it was very much that he referenced the first Avengers movie as a big turning point for nerd culture and becoming pop culture. And I think that is a good, kind of like that was a big period of time when that was becoming, something that it was, just a couple of people who were obsessed over comic books. And I mean, that was like, the first generation of Marvel. That's right when Captain America was wrapping up. And then all of a sudden, like, after Captain America, Iron Man, and the first Thor movie came out, it all of a sudden the average moviegoer was going to see movies about comic book superheroes and not just, the Poindexter stereotypical nerds that you used to see.
Mhm.
What do you think was a good turning point, Jake, for nerd culture becoming pop culture?
I think it's the consolidation of the internet, really, is one of the big ones. I mean, back in the day, there was so many websites. I think your like normal everyday person hopping on the computer was just like, I'm going to check Yahoo, like I'm, like I'm just going to go here, look at this one thing. There's too much going on. With the consolidation of like content through Facebook and Twitter and social media in general, but mostly like things like YouTube even, right? I think that's just catapulted things, right? Like I think definitely like, certain movies like Avengers, I think, putting Robert Downey Jr. crushing it as Iron Man in the first movie out the gate, just had people going like, holy shit, this is not just a good superhero movie. This is just a good movie. And so it's just like, and it made it, very like, widespread audience and everything. But to me, it's like, it's memes, it's the internet becoming a thing. It's the videos, it's everybody kind of like consolidating together. And basically like, people who wouldn't usually see a meme about One Punch Man, seeing a meme about it and going, wait, what's this anime about? And someone's like, oh, it's this overpowered guy. And then like, boom, it's one of the, one of the more famous animes out, so same with like, My Hero Academia, like you said, like there's a lot of anime that I gave a try because I grew up on Dragon Ball, then like, fell off because I wasn't like a hardcore anime guy or anything like that. But then through the pandemic and everything, and all the memes and you see everybody talking about, anime and fucking hentai porn and shit on Reddit. And you're just like, well,
shout out to the hentai porn.
And so you're like, well, let me check out what these people are talking about. Classroom, what? But anyway, like, it's just one of those where I think the internet evolving to where it is today, which, good for good or bad, because, it's kind of like crazy that everybody almost gets all of their content from like 5 places. And so, but that's kind of, we're all there. All of us, all the people are on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're here on Twitch. We're either on Reddit. Like there's really not as many places to go for content that there used to be. And so that consolidation has pretty much made it to where like pop culture, nerd culture is a part of the culture, right?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, I think, that's it's interesting you say that, the Snyder Cut, GameStop, cancel culture. It seems like fans have more power than ever. Just as you were talking about how they've been able to kind of turn nerd culture into pop culture. The power shift has way gone now into the fans' favor, right? The new nerd can manipulate markets, bully production studios into releasing fired directors' versions, and end careers. Okay, like, do nerds have more power than ever? And is it too much power, Jake?
I think I think things are just getting more democratized, I guess is the word I would use for it. Like, more people are having a say in with the internet. Like, look at things like Sonic. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, they were ready to push that movie out. They thought they had a great one. They thought they had something that people were going to be like nostalgic about. They would bring on some kids and make it a whole new thing. We're bringing Sonic back, baby. Right. And then they produced a trailer that looked like Sonic. And, and everybody was just like, what the fuck is this? What is it? Has he got teeth? Like, like what are those little rounded teeth things? And so like, it's just one of those where like, I think like, we found out that like through the internet, which gives us all a voice and we can put that collectively together, that we could push these people into making decisions that before they made in vacuums. And so I don't know if it's too much power, like we'll have to see. I don't think like, bullying studios and, like even hedge funds and shit like that. Like, come on, like America's supposed to be a free market capitalism. So if hedge funds fail, they fucking fail. Maybe you shouldn't have put your money into that hedge fund, right? Like that's just how it's supposed to go. And so like now, does it go that way? Nah, that's a deep dive for another day. Obviously the rich can make some rules up and they get to play by them and other people don't. But at the same time, like we've noticed that even through the internet, Wall Street bets that we can still put a squeeze on them. We may not be able to completely take them down, but we can make them hurt, And so it's just one of those where I don't know if it's too much power. I hope it doesn't get checked. That's the one thing that does scare me about the future of the internet is that like with things being consolidated the way they are, and even though I'm not like let me go ahead and get this out of the way. I am totally for Parler being essentially scorched earth, right? Like that place was a fucking sex pool, right? And so it's like, get that out of there. But it also kind of like sets up cesspool, yeah. And so it kind of like sets up this.
Sounds fun.
Dude, you spelled Star Wars as one word multiple times on the script. Don't even.
That's fair.
No.
That's fair. That's fair.
But so like, with that place being as bad as it was, it needed to be scorched earth, but it does set it up to where like, when like we got to watch censorship. That's all like, definitely that needed to be shut down. But the fact that everything's only on Facebook or Twitter, like, oh man, that's going to be scary one day in my opinion. So you got to watch it. I won't ramble about that for too long.
No, I think you made some great points. Sax, what do you think? Do nerds have since they have more power than ever? Is it too much power?
I would say
not enough.
Yeah,
that's funny. I would say that nerds have I would say more influence, more of a voice than previously, for sure. And is it too much power? That's debatable. 100%. I guess it depends on what's on the spectrum that you're on. To be able to, and it's a great example in using the Sonic movie, stop the entire release of a movie that was ready to go, like theaters, and you had something like over 7 million or 700 million dislikes on your trailer on YouTube, as you were talking about the internet, because this in like a part of the reason the influence is bigger is because the internet exists in a much more dominant way that it did not back in the day. Even hell, like some of you around my age, who the hell here remembers those big ass Apple computers in school? So you're talking about my time now. So you're talking about my time in school. Internet wasn't popping like that the way that it is now. So you get somebody with some decent bandwidth, a nice fiber optic cable, they Twitter up some things really decisive to make a company do or not do a thing. So yes, the influence there. Want to call it power? Sure, we can call it that. Is it too much? I tell you what, if ISPs decide to say, all right, we're done, then that power goes, because without the internet, you don't have that. And that's where everything comes from. So that's me.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
which is scary. There's
only
a handful of those guys, and they're just allowing this shit to happen for right now. Even though I think Obama and making things like internet consensually are considered I think it's a basic essential right or something like that. That's why it's at public libraries. I think there will always be some sort of government-backed internet. There's got to be, right? Like I don't know. I would hate to live in a future without it.
Taken away, but I may be mistaken. I would need to get caught up on that.
Did Trump take away computers from
libraries? Not computers from libraries, Jake. The defining of it as a public utility.
He didn't pull the computers from libraries, Dotson. I draw the line.
Library computers.
If he would have done that,
I would have lost my shit. Yeah, you're right. But no, I thought he did change it to make it so that it wasn't
considered a human right.
Considered, yes,
basic human right. Is that what
basic utility?
Basic utility, yeah.
Public utility is what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I mean, shit, some houses are run off of internet. in Wi-Fi. So
I know. Yeah, some
That's
people.
true.
Yeah, if the grid went down, it'd be crazy.
That would be crazy.
it's like,
But at any time, production companies and studios could just like, Robin Hood that shit, right? They could just, do nothing and produce, I guess the Robin Hood equivalent in the movie equation is like do nothing and produce cheap animated movies to only entertain kids and make billions and not really, try to do.
Minions 12.
Right? I think that's the short selling of entertainment, isn't it? I don't know. Who has more power? Executive producers who have the money to create, or the consumer who funds it? And how has that changed over the years, Sax?
I'll say this. In the past, the consumer didn't have the power at all.
Right.
That's
why we got Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Let's. I'm
It's a banger, dude.
I'm gonna stick to my point. So in the beginning, it was just the executive producers that had the power to do what they do. Today, the executive producers still have the power to do what they want to do. But like I said earlier, because of the internet, because of the power of what nerds have now with being able to get on the internet and say what it is they want to say and make things happen, they definitely have much more influence in what it is they want and what it is they expect and what it is they're looking for. Because you don't get stuff just like the Mario movie. You get the Mortal Kombat movie. You get the Street Fighter movie. You get all of that stuff that was happening that was trash. And then you've got people now that are like, hey, so, I have a say in what it is I want and what I'm looking for. And because I guarantee you, Dragon Ball Evolution wouldn't have been a thing if more people had something to say about it up front. And I'm not going to go too far into that, but I'm going to let that go. Yeah.
Jake, what about you? Who has more power? Executive producers, the money to create, or consumers who fund it?
I think honestly, it's one of the things that have been happening is that less and less decisions are being made in vacuums, and more and more of the producers are actually fans. You see like Kevin Smith getting his shot, to produce things. You see, guys like, basically like the dude who did all of the Marvel stuff and all of, like Star Wars, Mando and everything, Kevin Ferg. And so, or Fergie or whatever. Feige. Yes. I Googled how to say it and then I always forget. And so don't do drugs in high school, kids. But anyway, like, that dude, he's a fan of the culture. And so they've let him create. And that's, one of the biggest things is we're getting more and more fans who grew up watching Star Wars, creating Star Wars. Right. And it's just because like that's kind of like how the Passions of Time works, right? Like a movie's made in the 70s, kids grew up watching them and now they're going to be making them. It's kind of like the reason I have a theory. The reason why TikToks are so good is because all the kids that are good at TikToks grew up watching Vines.
Right.
And so, like the reason why they're good at it is because they grew up watching it. And so like that's, I think it's one of those where we've got more fans creating content than ever. And, we do get to have our say during like they do more test screenings. There's just less stuff made in vacuums. I honestly believe whoever the fuck was at a test screening of the first Mario movie, that one back in the day or whatever, like they probably were like, no, it's okay. And it was like, well, have you ever played a Mario game? Nah, never played a Mario game. Like literally 10 out of 10 people in the room were like, nah, I never played a video game. What the fuck do I look like? I go to the movies. And they were like, oh, it's an okay movie. And then everybody who watched it was just like, oh my God, have you ever played a Mario game? And they were like, no one here did. No one here like ever played one. And so now though, if they were to remake a Mario movie, you would assume they would get somebody who's at least played a Mario game at this point, like, because it's been around forever. And so, which this is not a call to Hollywood to make a new Mario movie. You can keep it as a game.
Yeah. I mean, I see a power shift back to the consumer, as we talked about, and probably some of the earlier sections. Yeah. But I agree with you, Jake, mostly that it's coming from a valuing of the source material, right? In previous years, whether a superhero or comic book movie related was approaching, the debate on whether or not it would stick to its roots of the content was appropriate, right? Like we saw what happened in X-Men Origins Wolverine to Deadpool. Thank God that had, another go at it. Was Spider-Man going to design his own web shooters, or they're gonna make it more of a superpower like the original trilogy did? Why is Batman using a gun, etc.? In recent years, you can see the swing back to more of the original source material. Do you think that swing back has benefited the new nerd, and does it benefit them, Jake?
I think it benefits the I think the expanding of nerd culture, right? Like when we're trying to bring more people into some of this stuff, sticking to the source material is going to be the best. Like, to put it, let me give a great example, honestly. If I were to try to get somebody into Death Note, the manga's good, the anime's good. I would not be showing them the Netflix original film Death Note, to be like, yo, come in and check this out. But if they would have crushed that movie, a movie would be a great way to get somebody to watch what is essentially like a 70 episode anime that may seem a little daunting, right? But I mean, don't look at Bleach and some of the other ones. But I'm just saying, like, for somebody who's like a novice, I want to say that's like not big into anime, they may look at that amount of episodes and go, whoa, that's way too much time. Did they have a movie? And so, but most of the time, anime movies have been botched, and so it's the same with Dragon Ball, like you said, and that bastardization of Death Note that came out. And so I think like it's important to stick to the source material, because in the instances that they have, like with some of the more Marvel stuff that went super mainstream and everything, it's probably gotten more people back into comics that were never into comics. Like there's people who's read comics due to what's been essentially like an explosion of Marvel, fans than probably ever before. Like I started really getting back into comics due to what I would say has been an emergence of nerd culture. Things like Preacher being on television made me go, holy shit, Preacher's good. Can I read this? Like, is there more to this? Old Man Logan, while the movie was great, the comic's fucking amazing. Right. And so and way crazier than the movie could ever be. And so anyway, I know I'm kind of just rambling now, but I think like the biggest thing is that, the source material, if it's good source material, especially, it's going to continue to make people want to watch it. And so basically stick to it,
I agree. If there was a bar graph that showed the popularity of Pokemon cards, I would feel it would show like a massive swing in a social acceptance and nerd culture, where you used to get beat up for bringing your Pokemon cards to school, and nowadays people ask like, do you still have that Charizard I used to beat you up for?
Can I buy
how has the social acceptance of pop culture changed over time, and what caused that social resurgence? Sax?
I'd say it's a culmination of things. One of the things is, obviously, the internet is going to be the answer for a lot of this stuff. Right. A lot of people are posting stuff online. You see it, and it's like, I hate it. I hate it. Well, I don't like it. I don't. Well, what is this? And it goes down that rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? And then it becomes a little more acceptable. I'll say another thing: cons, TwitchCon, Comic-Con. You know what I'm saying? Gamescom. E3, stuff like that. These conferences and stuff like that definitely help also showcase all of this stuff, which makes it acceptable. And I'm going to say this: cosplayers. People who do cosplaying, who take the time to make an outfit, to make a costume, be a live action whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's an incredible attention to detail and all of that stuff. And so many people like it. Some people like it for the art of what it is. I'm going to be 100% honest. Some people like it because it can be very lewd. You know what I'm saying? And some people are into that.
Oh, yeah.
Hi. But that's either here. But I do appreciate the art of it, though, because there's some people that I follow. I'm like, oh my God, this was just a really, really good job. And the more the people do it, it's like a majority minority thing. More people are definitely coming on to accepting of that and jumping on that bandwagon, if you will. than are not. Then, so let's say back like in the late, like, well, not late, but like early mid 90s to like now. Oh yeah, it's like starkly different as far as acceptance. And that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because you learn to accept people. Well, at least you should.
Yeah, at least you should. Exactly. It's weird to me to see, like, I remember working in college and I saw a bunch of cosplayers walk by to like a small convention in Tuscaloosa. And I like got off my shift to go take a picture with them, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's Dodson. He's just a nerd." And then like 3 years later, Suicide Squad comes out, and I see those fuckers at the bar dressed up like Harley Quinn. It's like all of a sudden cosplay is mainstream. Because like years
Margot
ago
Robbie will do
beforehand,
that.
right? But years before, though, Harley Quinn was not that kind of character that was going to be you're going to see at a bar on Halloween. It wasn't that level of social acceptance. I think that it was really changed people's mind. But
same with Jokers. Heath Ledger, man. Heath Ledger nailing that performance made it to where, like, for the next 20 Halloweens, you saw, like, you know how I got these scars, and you're just
right.
you know, like, yeah, I get it. You're all the Joker. Okay, fucking,
I think I've gone as the Joker like 3 or 4 times.
But see, like, the difference is, especially like there used to be characters that you would only see at cons, right? Like, and I think like for a long time, the Joker was one of those. You'd see Batman out on fucking Halloween. It's Batman. Right. But the Joker, Harley Quinn especially, was one that you would only see certain things, people maybe do a cosplay of at a con or whatever. Now, like you said, thanks to movies like Suicide Squad, which, for whatever reason, I don't know. Margot Robbie is the only reason people cosplay as fucking Harley Quinn, because that movie. But anyway, but then you got things like Heath Ledger's performance as Joker. That was so amazing that literally everybody's like, I want to be Joker for Halloween.
Exactly. Yeah. And
it makes it more socially acceptable.
It does.
When the guy who crushed 10 Things I Hate About You is now the Joker, you're like, okay, I'll flex with that Joker.
Right. I'll see what's up. I'll see what's up with that Nolan film. With the new nerd at the helm, there has been a lot of changes. The new nerd launched the MCU into cinema history and has continued to build not only the largest fandoms, but some of the largest economic powerhouses in the world today. But have these changes actually made things better in a more important way? How has the shift from counterculture to pop culture created better or worse content as we've gotten into more economic success?
Ooh. Yeah, I think, oh man, because I really think that it's essentially like so it's two ways. I think of it as like, definitely we've seen an increase in better content. And I think like, things stay in, the source material has improved. People have started doing that way more often. People have started listening to the fans more, right? Like when we've covered all of that, but it's like, still there's this whole thing where it being consolidated to just those small groups is dangerous, especially like Disney owning Star Wars and Marvel. And, like so it's like they own the Disney adults, they own the Marvel people, and now they even own all of Star Wars. And so it's like they have a say in basically a lot of things that are important to nerd culture, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's just, for most of the part, it's made better content. But then also we got to be careful for nostalgia grabbing. I think that's the biggest thing that's kind of scary with pop, or with nerd culture becoming essentially pop culture, is that people are going to start just mining for fucking nostalgia. And we've seen it. We've already seen it. I don't mean to say they're going to start it, because it's already started, right? But like, and is that a bad thing? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes I want to see a new Gremlin movie. So, right. But definitely has led to what I would say overall has been better content, but sometimes has been less original, because we want to just hold on to the past so much. We want to continue to remake because it was such a cool thing from the 80s or 90s, or even now the early 2000s, right? And so it's like, there's this constant need to remake it, but why not develop something new?
Right. Zach, same question to you. Has the economic success that's been brought up by counterculture becoming pop culture made better or worse content?
I'll answer this simply with this. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I'll say it in the way, and I'll use the MCU, and then I'll use the DCU. with the MCU, it's better because you bring back, because you figure what the Iron Man is, what, 1960s? You know what I'm saying? That's when he, dropped. So you're talking about time is going on. You figure the Robert Downey Jr. movie came out like in the 2008 is when
2009, I believe. Yeah, you're right on the money.
the first Iron Man movie came out. So Robert Downey Jr. did a phenomenal job as Tony Stark. He is Tony Stark. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Period.
And right. And Marvel had a plan from the word go, what it is they wanted to do. And they have done it successfully as far as the cinematic universe is concerned, at least in my opinion. Now, that's better. Now, let's talk about something that's worse. The DCU, which, in my opinion, I'm more of a DCU. I'm a DC fan more than I'm a Marvel fan normally.
Hey, I'm right there with you.
Characters. But what DC tried to do, which makes it worse, is try to play catch up. When you try to play catch up because something is hot, you end up doing yourself a disservice. The travesty that was the Batman versus Superman movie, the travesty that was the Suicide Squad movie, and the travesty that was, and I refuse to watch, the Justice League movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have these things come out is because now you're trying to compete with Marvel, who had a game plan day one. And because you see the rapid success, you're trying to catch up. So that, for me, is where you can get, where it becomes pop culture, because it's like, oh yeah, Iron Man's popping, Captain America's popping, yeah, they popping. So let's get Batman popping. It's kind of hard. And then you had to come off the heels of Christopher Nolan's trilogy, and then have to try to come up. You had a realistic, as you could, Batman, and now you have to do the Dark Knight version of Batman, like the late 80s version of Batman, for this movie, and try to hurry up. Oh, we got to get the Justice League movie out. No, take your time. And I guarantee you, if DCU would have taken their time, it would have been much better than what it's turned out. But that's an example of how it can be worse trying to compete with what is out.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more, especially as a DC fan. It's the multiverse, I guess, is their best bet at this point to revive. We don't need to go into how the DCU fixes their universe, but to your point, I think that my point of it is mostly that we have this concept of like a sellout when it comes to like bands and musicians and stuff like that. But I think that it's a mixed bag when it comes to content. You could say that like Star Wars, for example, they were just trying to make episodes 7, 8, and 9. And they really made some poor story choices with it. And I do feel that they were really just going for the cash grab, just going for a nostalgia thing for most of it. Now, Mandalorian is fantastic. Yeah. Both of which exist because more money was brought into the content. More money was brought into the fandom. And more, more things are being produced, whether people liked it or not. So I think that it's just, that is one example. It's just a mixed bag of what the economic success of it, unlike other businesses, does not determine whether or not you're going to get a better quality product, is, I guess, my big point.
Right.
No, 100%. Anyways, we are moving right along into our top Zen, and we've got a party in here because we've got some things to be excited about in 2021. So if you see any confetti, that's why. As January comes to a close this evening, we feel the cold breeze of a new year hit our faces. But 2020 was essentially a dumpster fire, and to be honest, this year has so far kept the fire blazing, but not all hope is lost. All right. Like always, the entertainment industry is here to remind us that everything will be okay, and that nothing really matters, and just go watch TV. So this week we wanted to break down our top 10 things that we are excited for in 2021. And I will kick it off with number 10. What if Marvel made a what if series based on all the different kind of crazy variables that could come into the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Wouldn't that be fucking crazy, guys?
That would be.
Yeah.
That would be. That would be crazy. Well, that's exactly what's coming in at number 10 in the countdown, is Marvel's What If series. The What If series is basically a animated series based off of various scenarios within the Marvel universe that could or couldn't happen, from Peggy Carter being Iron Man, to zombie Captain America, to T'Challa being Star-Lord, to all kinds of crazy shit. And personally, it's one of the things that I'm most excited about when it comes to 2021, that we're finally going to get our first peek at this. Marvel's done really, really well with their animated films lately. If it's anything like Into the Spider-Verse, then we could get something that's really, really worth our time, and maybe even Mandalorian level binge worthy. And that's honestly where my expectations are for What If right now. Jake, how do you feel? Do you think What If can compare to, say, Mando level kind of greatness?
Well, when you said that, the MCU animated, I was like, what animated thing have they had in a while? And then Spider-Man, oh my God, like Into the Spider-Verse was phenomenal. So if we get anything like that for What If, holy shit, like I'm definitely here for it. I've never really read too much of the comics. I know Cape, our producer, huge fan. And so I know that, he'll probably be like, right after the show, tell me everything I need to know about it. But, but like overall, like, I'm excited for anything coming out of Marvel. So far, WandaVision's been great. And like you said, if it's anything like a Mando style or anything like Into the Spider-Verse, even, like, I'm here for it.
Yeah, me too. Are you excited for the What If series, Sax? What scenario are you most looking forward to checking out?
You said something about Zombie Cap, and that just my second favorite Marvel hero. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, you already killed Steve Rogers for real, and brought him back to life. So you ain't bring him back to life, and so now he's just walking around undead with vibranium. I'm just getting it in. I tell you, it caused a lot of arguments, and I'm for it.
Yeah. The What If series is definitely going to be I think like the name of it's even amazing. Like, just because it's like, it's going to be the ultimate What If series, like what if these things would have happened? And so super exciting to see, because they can go in all kinds of crazy story directions for that.
Oh yeah. The limitless possibilities with it is what I think excites me the most. I'm just super excited. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm super excited to see it in 2021. But moving right along, because we've got 10 of these things that we're super excited about, and I'm also super fucking excited about the Book of Boba Fett coming in at number 9. Jake, tell us why the Book of Boba Fett makes number 9 on the countdown.
Well, hell yeah, this is the way. Teased in a surprise end credit sequence following the season finale of The Mandalorian, the legendary bounty hunter's journey will continue in the Book of Boba Fett. Jon Favreau, executive producer of The Mandalorian, confirmed on Good Morning America that the new series is currently in production and will air December 21st on Disney+. Boba Fett and his father/DNA donor Jango Fett have always been fan favorites, and I personally lost my shit when Boba showed up in the latest season of The Mandalorian. But Dodd, how stoked are you to finally see how Boba Fett got out of that Sarlacc pit?
Look, I'm very interested to see what Boba Fett was eating in that Sarlacc pit, because like he came out with a fucking dad bod. Like, he was like, "Oh, it just took a long time to get out of the Sarlacc pit. There's some days where I was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna smoke weed and watch TV, but I just don't think I'm gonna get out of here." Like, how did you get I want to know how Boba Fett got the dad bod. That's what I really want to know.
20 pounds in a Sarlacc pit in the desert. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but
you'd think he'd be starving.
Yeah.
Right?
But no, I mean, like, I didn't want to be too ageist against the actor. He's probably coming back, dusting off some, armor that he hasn't put on in a long time.
Maybe so.
And so, like, like maybe between Mando and this season, he'll get some time to like buff it up a little bit. But then at the same time, like, dad bod it on. I'm here for dad bod Jango.
Yeah, maybe
Boba.
And also, like, you got to think that the Sarlacc pit was like a one-day thing. Like he got stuck in there and he got out of there and he started like the story of Boba Fett. He wasn't in the Sarlacc pit for however long it was between whenever Mando starts and the fall of the Empire.
Obviously, which is what's going to be interesting to see him go into in this series. See like just where he's been, what he's been doing. What the it's because it looks like he's been kicking it.
Right. I think Bronwyn asked me on one of the shows what was my favorite Boba Fett moment, And I answered back with the last moment we saw Boba Fett, which was him coming back to Jabba's palace and just being like, pew, pew, this shit's mine now. All right. So I'm going to kick my feet up and this begins the book of Boba Fett. Like badass. Like that's some big dick energy right there. I'm not going to lie. You know,
that's Boba Fett.
That's Boba Fett. Got that, got that big Boba energy. Yeah.
Me not having a Boba Fett themed.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh, nice. Very, very casual there. I was wondering why you were looking so weird there for a minute, and I was like, okay, I get it. You're taking a drink of water, but no, makes sense.
It's even got the little skull logo on the top. There we go.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Well, speaking of wandering around in space, number 8 on the countdown is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Sax, tell us why Mass Effect Legendary Edition comes in at number 8 on this countdown.
Yes. According to BioWare, it's tough keeping a big secret now, but it's official. Finally, after years of fans asking for it, a remastered version of the original Mass Effect trilogy will be here sometime in 2021. Now, some of you may or may not know this. My entertainment handle is Javen Shepard, and Shepard part of it is 1000% from Commander Shepard in the series. Mass Effect is
nice.
Yeah, Mass Effect is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. A quick little funny story, real quick. I went to Game Crazy, by the way. That is a game store that was eons better than GameStop. It was in association with Hollywood Video. Some of you are too young to even know what that means. Anyway.
Oh man, I remember Hollywood. You just put me back. I do remember Hollywood Video. Oh my gosh.
Video, yeah.
That was back when there was a competitor with Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And if you lived in Alabama, Movie Gallery.
Oh my! I didn't know Movie Gallery. That one's beyond me.
I don't know about that, but I went into Crazy to buy Assassin's Creed, the very first one. So this was back in 2007. And when I was in there, an employee asked me if I ever heard of Mass Effect. And I told him no. And he was like, yo, you should check this game out. It's kind of like a space drama. Now, I had not heard anything about Mass Effect before. I'm going to tell you right now, one of the greatest decisions I ever made for video games in my life. I'm not sure about how you guys feel, but I'm super excited to run around as Shepard again. How about you, Jake? Have you taken a trip on your favorite rocket ship zooming through the galaxy?
Honestly, the first Mass Effect I ever played was Mass Effect Andromeda. And I know that's crazy to think of, because a lot of fans thought Andromeda was the worst, right? But as somebody who had never played the franchise coming into it, I was like, this isn't a bad game, and I had a good time playing it. I thought it was a good, decent story, right? And went through it. But then I went back and played the older ones. And while definitely the newer ones spoiled me with better controls, combat was a little bit better and everything. The stories of the first one, some of the character development, everything like that was definitely super strong, super strong. It was almost the Fallout thing because my first Fallout game was Fallout 4. Right. And so everybody was like, no, dude, you got to go back all the way to New Vegas, and you got to get in there. And so I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into Mass Effect again because I even downloaded and played some of the originals on my Xbox not too long ago. And so hopefully seeing them remastered and everything, it's going to be great to play it almost as if it's a whole epic. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I've ever been able to do that.
I cannot wait.
And the stories pick up off of each other, which is one of the impressive things about Mass Effect too. So decisions you made in Mass Effects 1, 2, 3, they all carry over into the other games if you have those saves. And so putting them all together like this is only the next logical solution from, the BioWare. And so,
I played Mass Effect 2 for a little while. Now I played it in the worst possible way that you could possibly. This also shows how dated just the Mass Effect franchise is in general. I got this from I think a Redbox. And it was one of those that charges you if you go over on it, it charged you. And I started playing it so long that I was going over on the time. And this game, I was like, at this point I should just buy the fucking game instead of renting it and getting an overage charge. And when I returned it,
$60 now.
Right. When I returned it, sunk cost fallacy prevented me from. I was broke in college, so it was a bad time for me to get it. But I will tell you this much: as much as I've been obsessing over fucking Star Trek: The Next Generation, the old '90s show, and rewatching that lately, and just getting my whole wanting to just explore through space in a sci-fi environment kind of thing, I think that I'm going to be flocking to Mass Effect, and I think that it's going to be one of the games that I'll be streaming for a good minute. I think it's a great one where you really can flesh out who Shepard is to you, and I think that's why so many people love Shepard so much, is because the Shepard that they made is the Shepard that they created for at least some extent.
Yeah.
And so that's an aspect that I think. Right, and you can fuck aliens.
In the first 3 were much better than the customization in Andromeda, which made zero sense as far as the character design.
They took the Fable route, where somehow the older the game gets, the less you can customize a character. And
whatever. They just wanted to keep those cinematic sequences all the same, is what I think it was.
Oh man, and some of those, Jesus Christ.
All right, well, moving right along on the countdown is something I am personally super fucking excited for, which is the Gen 4 remakes. Yes, that's right. We're talking about Pokemon Diamond and Pearl coming to the Switch. We're gonna have it happen somewhere in February. We know it's happening. It's honestly, I'm surprised this isn't much higher on the list. Gen 4 remakes have been all over the news right now. After the success of Sword and Shield, Pokemon fans have been dying to get back to a new Pokemon adventure. The Sinnoh region has been a big fan favorite, and it's an incredible region that has really built it was an incredible region that really built onto the franchise, and with one of the toughest Pokemon champions in all of Pokemon. The remakes have all been but confirmed through various leaks. We really know this is coming. I mean, this has been leaking since it's been leaking for so long that we did a parody video on the leaks. And that video is like one of our oldest videos. But anyways, we know that this is something that they wanted to save for their 25th anniversary of Pokemon Day. That's coming up this February. And I just can't wait to see what we're going to see on that day. And I tell you what, I'll put it to you this way. If they don't give us Gen 4 remakes, at this point, you're going to get a lot of deflated air because people have been building this up for so long. So it's not a threat, Pokemon Company, but it's kind of a threat.
Let them know.
With the success of Sword and Shield on the Switch, can you see yourself jumping into some Gen 4 remakes, Jake?
Oh yeah, no, definitely, because I think I had fallen off the Pokemon bandwagon by Gen 4. And I think we were talking about this a little earlier, even in Discord, but it was in the Nerd Herd Discord, which you can join, by the way.
Right.
And so
there's a link down below.
We were talking about it a little earlier because I was just like, which ones were Gen 4? And I think you said it was Diamond and Pearl, right?
Right.
And so, I never played through Diamond and Pearl back in the day. I not to age myself again, but I was a yellow, red, blue guy, and then eventually played like the fire red, or leaf green, all those guys. And then I don't know what happened. I think I quit playing Pokemon games. And so it'd be nice to get back into them and go through and play Gen 4 because I never got to really play in the Soho region when it originally dropped.
Let me give you my little rant on why Gen 4 is one of the best of the earliest generations.
Who are your starters?
It's not going to be that long. Okay, your starters is one of the reasons why it's such a great generation, okay? It's Chimchar, Turtwig, and the penguin, Piplup.
Oh, yeah, I definitely never played that one.
So here's the reason why the starting trio is so good, okay? Your fire Pokemon evolves into a fire and fighting. Your water Pokemon evolves into a water and steel. And your grass Pokemon evolves into a grass and ground. All of those secondary typings mean that no matter what starter you get, they're weak to the other in some way and they're strong against the other in some way. Grass is strong against water, but ground is strong against fire. Fighting is strong against steel, but water is obviously strong against fire, and so forth. So all of the starters are balanced. That's one of the reasons why I like this generation so much. This is also the generation that added evolutions to stuff like Electivire as the evolution of Electabuzz, Magmortar as the evolution of Magmar, Rhyperior, which has been a big one in the competitive community as the evolution to Rhyhorn. And you have all these additional evolutions that you added on there. You've got a great storyline that's evolving around probably one of the best legendary stories out there, next to the greatest legendary story, which is Gen 3, the land and sea stuff. But this is time and space. And then you have the alternate dimension with Garana, where you can go into like this little twisted time zone. Anyways, there's so many cool things to do in Gen 4. We spent way too much time on this topic, but I'm super excited to see Gen 4 remakes. Sax, do you have any interest in Pokemon? Are you buying this at all?
Sad face. I have not played a single one of those games.
All right, well, you'll just have to fucking watch me play all of them then.
I'm tired of remakes. I want an RPG style open world Pokemon game. Give it to me, Nintendo.
They're going to dick tease you all the way until the day that happens. I mean, eventually it'll happen, but it'll be on the day that Pokemon is finally taking a downturn and not being the most financially successful entertainment.
They'll drop it when we know
Disney.
they'll drop it when they know the meteor's on its way. Like they'll be like, well, they only got a week to live. Let's drop that open world Pokemon RPG.
Pokemon RPG. Quick, release the open world Pokemon RPG, and we're just all like, we knew they had it the whole time.
You have 1 week
for real.
Play.
You have a week. Yeah, it's not a threat, but it's kind of a threat. Moving right along onto the countdown. Number 6, The Matrix 4. Jake, tell us why The Matrix 4 is number 6 on the countdown.
Well, I shouldn't have to really tell you why a new Matrix film coming out this year has everyone stoked, but we haven't really heard much about the upcoming film so far. The last that we did hear is that Warner and HBO are aiming for a December 22nd release date of this year, which would put it as one of their slated, and right now it's slated as one of their direct to HBO Max pieces of content. Keanu was everywhere in 2020 and also in 2077, but whatever. And it's great to see that continuing into 2021. With this longtime staple in nerd culture. We were talking about nerd culture earlier. Things like The Matrix definitely were, things that went mainstream, that were also really kind of like looked at as kind of like, stuff that only geeks and nerds would care about. It's jacking into fucking computer worlds and robots and shit. Like, come on. But yeah, the Matrix franchise has always broken barriers when it came to setting a tone for sci-fi action films. Sax, how stoked are you to see the one dodging bullets again?
Man, I'll tell you, it's been so long. I'm so excited to see, Neo again, to see Trinity again, to see Morpheus again. I'm so excited to see those cast of characters again because, man, it kind of revolutionized things a little bit. And like the slow motion thing,
bullet time,
everybody uses, it came from the Matrix. Essentially. And if the Matrix bit off of somebody else, I don't remember them to mention them. Saying right. That's how I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, because if I'm not mistaken, I read something, I think the title is called Matrix 4 Resurrection.
Right. Yeah. That was one thing I was going to say. I think the title kind of gave it away, the fact that Neo's coming back from the dead.
Big facts.
Yeah.
Which would play in line with the Jesus Christ scenario that Neo's always been set up for.
Right.
There's so much I could go to on that.
Yeah.
Touch it, but it's so much parallel. Even if you look back at the first Matrix movie, like when he was in the kitchen, something written in Hebrew, that you know what? Nope, not gonna do it.
I don't want to spend too much time on the Matrix either, even though it was my thing for one of the things I'm looking forward to. But I saw somebody the other day that kind of blew my mind when they said that the robots could have picked any animal to keep alive, but they chose humans. And it was because they really they never really had anything against the humans. Humans started the war and all that stuff. And it was holy shit. So are we the baddies?
Right. Were we the bad guys all along? Maybe we're the virus.
Hey.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
The Matrix still blowing minds in 2021.
Still blowing minds. Well, speaking of blowing minds, but in much more like a silencer with lead coming out of the end kind of way. Number 5 in the countdown is No Time to Die, the new 007 movie. Sax, tell us why No Time to Die makes number 5 in the countdown.
Oh, yes. That's right. creative differences causing the original director to throw up the deuces. The fifth installment of Daniel Craig's James Bond movie, No Time to Die, is coming out this year. It's set to be Daniel Craig's last go at the fictional British MI6 agent. Sad face. And the movie is projected to be released sometime in October. It looks like October 8th of this year. And it's been about 6 years since the last Bond movie came out. I believe it was Spectre. And with this being Daniel's last hoorah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it and see what happens. Because I tell you, man, he's worth mentioning up there with top Bonds like Connery and Pierce Brosnan. It's like he's definitely
100%.
He's in the conversation.
Right.
And arguably could be number one. Arguably, I would still say it's Sean, but you know what I'm saying. But still,
you can't beat the classics.
Yeah, and Sean Connery's hard. Sorry, not Sean Connery, but Pierce Brosnan is high up there for me.
Pierce Brosnan, I think because of when we grew up, Pierce is like my 007. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
100%. So, what do you say, Dad? Are you ready to send Mr. Craig out with one final bang?
Yeah, I'm ready to see it, honestly, because I'm ready for any fucking content that I can consume right now. But spy movie, Daniel Craig, 007, I'm all about it. I think that I've been on and off a bunch of 007 movies as of late with Craig, mostly just because I think they just come out sporadically and I haven't really been if there's a movie that I'm going to go see, if it's competing with a superhero movie, which they usually are, I'm going to go spend the money on the new Spider-Man movie or the new Captain America flick or the new whatever the case may be. Yeah. And so I haven't seen too much of Craig's latest run, but I do remember distinctly, I can't remember if it's Skyfall or one of the first ones, that torture scene where he's getting the shit beat out of his nuts, and I can't get that image out of my head to save the life of me.
I still what you're talking about too. That's what's hilarious about it. I remember that scene.
Right. I feel like there's one thing about Daniel Craig's Bond that I can't get out, and is that him getting tortured there. And I've seen Pierce Brosnan get tortured as Bond. I've seen, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I've seen all of it. Right. But that scene stuck with me, the
balls with a heavy metal object for
that's what it was. Right. Yeah. And you could hear him grunting in a way that it's like it was like nauseating. Mm-hmm. And like every guy who's gotten hit in the
lower
nuts,
gut,
right? When you can, I don't know how, but they were able to capture that pain in that moment, and I could feel it in the theater. And I was like, I don't want any more popcorn,
is this Hostile?
Right. So I will be happy to see No Time to Die, and hopefully there will be much less cock and ball torture.
Turns out I'm not into that.
Not into CBT. My bad. Moving right along though, number 4 in the countdown it's a big one, guys. Yeah. It's a big one. It's a real big one. And that's mostly just a pun. Because as much as we like to complain about remakes and reboots, this matchup is an absolute classic, and we are hyped to see the CGI fight of the century. If you got an uncharacteristically antagonistic Godzilla and a Kong that uses tools, plus it has hints of is that hints of Mecha Godzilla in there as well? Delish.
Some people pausing are saying so.
Some people pausing are saying exactly so. With this hitting theaters and HBO Max, it is sure to be one that everyone can enjoy safely, and man, are we looking forward to it. Sax, are you team King of the Monsters or team King of the Kongs?
You know what? I'm just gonna go out here and just say it. I'm definitely King of the Monsters. Let's go. We out here.
Man, am I the only? I feel like I'm the only one on this team that is Team Kong here.
Well, maybe on this team. I know some folks that have said Kong.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look. Wukong all day. You know what I'm saying? I do that. Staff Brothers. Let's get it. Goku. You already know what it is. But I'm trying to tell you right now, King Kong looking at Godzilla. King Kong is going to stare at Godzilla, forming a fucking spirit bomb in his mouth and shoot it at him and obliterate his entire existence. I don't give a damn what you give King Kong. He's just gonna he's just gonna make a Rasengan in his hand with his mouth. I'm gonna throw this at you, and that's just gonna be the end of you, you monkey. And that sounds really terrible as I said that out loud. Moving on.
I've loved the memes that are like walking power plant, and it's like monkey.
Right. For real. But I mean, like, look, with Kong wielding that big ass axe in there,
Yeah.
like and that to me
I think
is a game changer. Like
they
a
purposely
Kong
showed him
using
holding.
tools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they purposely showed him using tools to make people go, he's smart. He's one of the great apes. You know, how is he not smarter than a lizard? But then they don't realize that lizard's a nuclear power plant. Like it's essentially like a nuke walking around in a lizard body shooting nukes out. And dude, how many buildings can Kong pick up to deflect? He's gonna run out of buildings.
For all intents and purposes, why wouldn't it be stand to reason that Kong and Godzilla would be more intelligent than us? They're giant. They would have gigantic brains.
Brain size does not necessarily. It's not the same. Look at elephants; they're fucking huge. But I don't see them doing arithmetic.
Right, but they're significantly more intelligent. Same with whales.
Oh no, they're super smart.
Not saying,
but they didn't come up with gravity.
Right, I get that. Yeah, we got gravity on them, right? I'm not comparing us to. Come on now.
No, but I do think they purposely showed Kong with the tools to make people be like, okay, yeah, because he is like a great ape. So they would use tools, stuff like that. Like Godzilla's just going to be walking around, fucking breathing fire, smacking shit down, right? He's doing his Godzilla shit. He's always been that guy, right? And so, I mean, I don't know. I really just hope. I'm super hyped for this movie too. That's why it's number 4. I would honestly say these top 4 really are kind of tied for one. Well, I don't know. One may be number 1 legitimately, but anyway, like I think this movie's super hype, and I hope they don't like back out and make it something where like, they're fighting, but then they get a respect for each other, and then now like no one wins.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I want a definitive. I want a winner.
They got to go broke.
I want Kong over Godzilla's lifeless body, or vice versa. Like I want.
No, big facts. Like just wrecking his life. But I'm gonna tell you right now, like just the way that I'm picturing this right now, Godzilla is fucking Madara, and King Kong is Tintin with her tools. That's literally what I see happening. Of me to use that comparison. But that's just what I see. Now, hopefully, if King Kong can pull off some John Woo shit and beat his ass with tools, I'm definitely down to see that. You know what I'm saying? I'd pay to see him go Wukong on Godzilla, but
would be dope.
Godzilla.
Yeah. It would be. I mean, I'm interested to see what Kong's gonna do and what else he's gonna come up with. We know he's got the axe. We saw the axe in there. I'm hoping there's some more tools in his tool belt that he uses.
Right.
But I think if we see Kong, take a big chain of boats or something like that and try to strangle Godzilla with it, like that would be cool. That would be so cool. And I guess that's why I'm Team Kong.
Walk.
Right. Okay. All right. We need to get further through this countdown though.
This isn't a deep dive on King Kong.
This isn't a deep dive on King Kong. We're super excited about these. Genuinely excited. Yeah. Number 3 on the countdown is Halo Infinite. Jake, tell us why Halo Infinite makes number 3 on the countdown.
Well, I mean, Halo Infinite is easily one of the most highly anticipated Xbox Series X games on the horizon. It was supposed to be and was a pretty highly anticipated launch title, but that got pushed back, right? And it promises to pretty much reboot the Halo franchise from the ground up. The game was supposed to be launched with Microsoft's Xbox Series X console, but that sadly was delayed. Halo Infinite is now scheduled to arrive during fall of 2021, so we're looking at a September to December timeframe, but a real date has yet to be given. So, but given the nightmare that was Cyberpunk 2077's launch, I think it's easy to say why we should let the devs just take it slow on this one. And also, I don't know a single person personally that has gotten their hands on an Xbox Series X yet. And so, and I know a lot of Xbox fans, I know a lot of PS5 fans too, but scalpers kind of beat us on that. In the digital economy, they've got to do something about that. But anyway, so I'm still, kind of super stoked and ready to smash Elites again. If that's the way we go, I don't give a fuck if it's the Flood. Like, come on, give me a new, just hopefully it looks better than Craig did on the original, like how they showed it, right? And that's
beautiful.
That may be why they're taking some more time.
Appreciate this.
But Sax, I know on your stream that you recently got down on some of the Master Chief Collection. How excited are you to see the new Halo dropping this year now that you've officially rejoined the Halo fan club?
Hey man, look, I'm super duper excited. The little series that I'm running with my boy Sad Gaming. Go check him out. Shameless plug.
Sag
It's
was in the chat popping earlier, so shouts out Sag.
yeah,
Yeah, shout out Sag. Go check him out. He's really good.
yeah, for sure, 100%. We decided to, since I have not played the first one, because I played the second one and I played it mostly for the multiplayer, and I played through, and then when I got it, I was like, okay. Then I kind of got really hyped for the, like, I went to the midnight release. Remember midnight releases for video games?
Oh my gosh!
Oh,
yes,
we
I
used
do.
to cover them on Geek Life when it was a
Yeah, we
radio
did.
show. Yeah,
right.
Here we go. So like, I remember going to the midnight release for. I'm looking for it. I don't see it. I have a Halo 3 shirt somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all of
Right, from going to the midnight release.
yeah, big facts. And like, I'm super super stoked for the Halo Infinite coming out, because like, I want to play as Chief on current gen shit.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll tell you my biggest gripe, and it's Sad Gaming's biggest gripe too. I can't sprint. I can't sprint, and I move like a snail in that heavy ass armor. And I need 2021 shit to be better for Chief. So I'm definitely definitely looking forward to
right.
comes of it.
I mean, even the dudes from Gears of War can like hustle it with the sprint button, right? And their armor looks a lot heavier. Like they look like fucking linebackers. And they can still pick it up when they need to.
They made the first Master Chief, or the first couple, not able to sprint because they wanted you to walk through there murdering people. They wanted you to like Michael Myers that shit. They didn't want you to take, like, you're not, this isn't Doom. Master Chief savors that.
He wants you to honor the masterpiece that you created.
Yeah, Master Chief's just like walking around like bringing death. He's not, he's not Doom guy. He doesn't run around.
They don't call him Restaurant Chief, right? They don't call him, like little nitty gritty, low level chief. They call him Master Chief because he's cooking up something good for you.
He also had gray hair the first time he ever pulled that helmet off, and so we know he's got a little age on him. So
yeah.
Called him Demon. The Covenant called him Demon. You know,
Demon. Yeah,
they called.
They feared him.
I wonder whenever you died.
You're not locked in there. Master Chief's not locked in there with you. You're locked in there with Master Chief.
For real. Big facts. Well, we're getting down to the top 3, and number 2 on our countdown is definitely someone you don't also want to be locked in a cage with, which is the cast of Gotham Knights. This game looks so fucking dope, and of course, it's coming from the same people that did our the Arkham Knight series, which is one of my favorite series of all time. Sax, take it away. Tell us why Gotham Knights makes number 2.
Man, oh man. Yes, 5.5 years since we had our last Batman game, and spoiler alert, he blows up and dies in the end. Quote,
true.
We finally get a new WB Games Montreal Batman-ish game with Gotham Knights. Something definitely to look forward to. That's coming out sometime this year with no exact release date as of yet. The game story takes place sometime after the B-Man's apparent death, and apparently Jim Gordon has also kicked the bucket. So shit, and that's unfortunate for Gotham.
He was pretty old though.
I was gonna say Gotham is definitely gonna be in disarray.
Right. And not to go too spoiler alert for too many people, but one of the big things that Jim Gordon does at the end is he tries to take Batman's mantle with Scarecrow's fear gas as a thing, and so he was kind of he was pushing it those last couple of years,
Yeah, and like I said, Gotham, there's a rise of crime and chaos. Now, who better to step up to the plate when the city needs them most? None other than Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, and Red Hood. Yep, you get
boy J. Todd.
Bad guys with Bruce Wayne's kids. Sorry, Damien. This game. I absolutely love the WB Batman games, with the exception of Origins, of course. That game was trash. Guys, any of you looking forward to making the streets of Gotham safe once more?
One, I still stand that Origins in their multiplayer mode was very entertaining and fun. I do think that it was a very different Batman game, and it wasn't one that I liked the most of all the series. Arkham City is still the pinnacle and will always be the pinnacle,
yeah,
in my opinion. But Red Hood is my favorite character, a Batman character of all time. Probably my favorite comic book character of all time. Like that's my big one. So any game where he's a playable character and we get to play more in his storyline. I mean, honestly, like I'm not a big first person shooter fan. So having the fact that you can have a character that has guns in there has no weight to me at all. But the fact that you have Red Hood in there for his story and that input there is very, very exciting to me. And I honestly cannot wait to get my hands on it. The Rocksteady has done an absolute amazing job with the Arkham franchise in the past. They have yet to disappoint, honestly. And Origins definitely had some letdowns in there, but that was WB Montreal. That's not who's taking care of Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights is WB Montreal.
Yes, it is.
Yep. It is WB Montreal. Never mind. But I still got faith in Gotham Knights. As I said earlier, I didn't think Origins was as bad as a lot of other people did. I think that they did make a lot of different story choices there that were interesting. But I mean, the aspect that they were really building on in that last Batman game with the kind of dual fights, I think plays better in the setup that they have for Gotham Knights. And anything to dig deeper into the Batman rogue gallery, especially the D, E, and F list villains of Batman's rogue gallery, because he's got a ton of great ones, but he's also got honestly a ton of good shitty ones too. I think is going to be a good thing for sure. Jake, what do you think?
Oh no! I mean, just to echo, I liked all of the Batman. Like, I thought Origins wasn't that bad. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Like, I know that it's compared to City and the other ones. Yeah, like
it's not. It doesn't hold a candle.
Yeah, but like still, like I love these. I love Batman games. Like, and so I'm excited for this one. I know that it's not necessarily going to be featuring Batman, but then we don't even really know. We're definitely like picking that up from what they're showing in trailers and everything so far. But there's no telling what could really go on in this game. Like I think even the Damian joke is an interesting one to make because who's to say in some DLC we don't get Damian added in, like, right? Like, because he's going to be a little bit more adult now, and so. But no, I think this one's definitely something that I've got. Whenever the date comes, it's going to be marked on a calendar.
No,
Damian's also grown on me as one of my favorite Robins too. I mean, obviously my favorite is Red Hood right off the bat, but Damian's close up there just because he's. Not because I relate to the character at all, just because he's a character, a very, very unique character, and like anything in the Batman universe,
100%. And there was real quick, just side note, there was something that was said, definitely speculation right now, but wouldn't be a bad idea that the next Batman featured game would be 20 years past when Batman died, and the person that is donning the cowl is Damian Wayne. So
that would make sense.
I wouldn't be too upset with that because I'm like,
Damian Wayne as Batman is something that they've done canonically in the comics before. I think that's the word, right? That was the right way to use that, right?
I think so.
Canonically.
Yeah,
it felt like it.
Well, you just use it again. If it's not a word, it's now because
it is now, twice. Right? I've somebody call Webster. I feel like that flowed well. I could have just gone past it, but I feel like we needed to make a point about that. Anyways. Right. But that has happened in the past in the comic books, and Damian's Batman is much more ruthless, much more like what you would see in the
Jason Todd
Superman. If Jason Todd took it. Jason Todd has taken the mantle before as well, but that's when Batman's been real sick, and when he does that, there's like, oh, this is nothing to say, Batman. This guy's using guns and is going to blow us in the face, and that's your last little parting thought right before you die is, oh, this isn't Batman.
Give me Batman Beyond, you cowards.
Right. Yeah. I mean, hey,
like if they want to keep going into the future and doing all kinds of like cool Batman shit, give me fucking another Batman Beyond game. A lot of people don't remember the Game Boy Color game, but that thing was jumping, and it was a side-scrolling beat 'em up style bullshittery, but like a full like on like Batman style Batman Beyond game because they even had a Batman Beyond skin. I think it was Arkham Knight. I want to say.
Right.
Yeah, Arkham Knight. Yeah, Arkham
Yeah, it
Knight.
was Arkham Knight. And oh my God, dude, it looks so fucking clean.
Mhm.
And so, dude, give me Batman Beyond. I've always wanted us to wait until like Christian Bale was old enough to play that old rickety ass Bruce Wayne, because I think he could kill that role. Because
you can
he
still
just
go with shit. Who's the guy who played Vulture? Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
no,
still
that'd be a
Michael
good
Keaton.
one. I just need more
Yeah.
Batman Beyond in my life. I feel like they made that banger of a
Yeah.
series and then they just slept on it for all these
Right.
years. Bring it back.
It's a great franchise. It's still there. I mean, like Batman in the future, there's no reason why you can't revisit
Yeah.
that.
And they're doing the
Um,
multiverse shit. So like, fuck it. Come on, bring me some more
Yeah.
Batman Beyond.
Let's do it all. Do it all. I'm right there with you. But we definitely buried the lead because number one is something we even talked about in the headlines today. Yeah, that's right. The return of G4. Honestly, what could be more exciting than this announcement that we heard this week? That G4 is coming back. The death of G4 left a lack of content in the world that is really yet to be replaced. Hell, this show was created to fill that void. We talked about this earlier. Hire us, G4. Hi, G4 needs talent. You got talent right here.
Yep.
You can find me at Bruce Bane. You can find Sax at the fattest Sax. You can find Jake. You know, all those. We got all that. Yeah, you get all of our contact info is right here. Hire us. Anyways,
We correspond so well. Did you see me correspondent? I corresponded hard.
Yeah, one of the best corresponders I know. He's very good at corresponding. But what shows are y'all most excited to see come back? Personally, for me, it's X-Play. I think that that was one of the shows that honestly I don't think I appreciated as much. No, shit, it's not X-Play. It's not X-Play. It's Attack of the fucking Show. Attack of the Show was my favorite show on that network and was something that I really felt entertained by and is what Geek Life is modeled after. Spoiler alert. You know, but that I think that is hands down what I'm most excited to see. Which show are you guys most excited to see come back?
Oh man, definitely X-Play, because I think that's the biggest one. Or not X-Play, but
Yeah.
Attack of the Show. X-Play is a close second. But you know, I definitely like they just those were obviously the top two. I'm gonna be interested to see what additional like new content they push on G4, right? You know, it's been so long that I'm really excited to see what else they've come up with. Right. Like I'm definitely stoked for X-Play, like we said, and definitely stoked for Attack of the Show. Those are two staples of the channel. Like when you close your eyes and you think of G4, those two obviously are going to show up. Right. And so, you know, just seeing that and, you know, The Wire and everything like that. The Wire is essentially our headlines that we usually do. Right. They used to do The Wire on G4. And so like, it's just, you know, it's great that they're coming back. And I think it's the time. Like we said, pop culture is nerd culture. That was the whole thing of New Nerds today. Right. And so if there was ever a time for G4 to make a comeback, it's now. And so I'm super excited to see what they do with the show or with the channel in general. And, you know, just to see what new content they even have to go along with some banger original older content that they've announced is coming back too.
Yeah. Me too. Sax, what are you excited to see come back?
Layla Kaylee. I'm kidding. Definitely Attack of the Show. That was Kevin Pereira and Olivia Munn. Like the fact that I still remember those names. You know, Adam Sessler, Morgan Webb. You know,
oh my gosh. Oh
yeah, you're ready.
Yes.
Cheat with Christian Holt. You know, because that's who it was, and the host before Christian Holt was Corey Rouse. Yes, I remember all of this.
Wow!
So,
wow!
Yeah.
Hey, you forgot Chris Hardwick.
You guys remember what was it? Machinima, where they would play like the cut scenes of the video games. It was like a half an hour show of like segments of cut scenes, bro. Like do
you want to know what's ingrained in my head?
What's that?
What?
Humanoid, your moves are so fresh. It's time for you to take the ultimate test. Hop on board, enter the key. We're going to flash back to 8T3 or whatever. Flock like a polar, don't get played. You are the new master of Starcade. And then they would play like an old episode of Starcade with it. And then I think they even tried to bring back Starcade towards the end of it, which was like this arcade-based, you know, like fucking like, what was it? It was like an arcade-based, like Wheel of Fortune style game show, right?
Oh wow!
And so, like, it was really interesting. Starcade, that shit was a banger. And so,
That's great.
My favorite line from anything in G4 was from Corey Rouse and Cheat. Just throw it into God mode and keep kicking butt. That line at the end, I still remember that. I was in high school when that was probably in middle school when that was a thing. So I 100%. I'm excited for all of it. That's the answer.
With cops being canceled, we avoided that.
Right. Yeah.
So we can at least know that
coming back.
Yeah, we at least know that cops will not be taking up half of the airtime.
Oh, and cheaters too. They tweeted about that at least. I mean, tweeters just telling me it was fucking awful too. And the monogamy. But it seems like it's going to be a fresh new show. And with the rise of content creation and the fact that there's just going to be so much fucking talent out there, I can't wait to see what G4 brings. And maybe we can take a break after that. Not really, but we can pretend.
I hope they call people up like to the big leagues. Like it's like, oh man, dude, Sax is leaving next week. What happened? Got called up to G4.
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it? That would be amazing.
Got called up to G4. He was streaming. Like they just pulled streamers. It's like right now we're all in a B league,
Scotty.
And then they're just like, hey, come to the NFL, buddy.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Be here too. Please bring them too.
Yeah. For real. All right. Well, I think that will wrap it up for this episode of Geek Life. We hope you guys have enjoyed everything today. Remember, if you want more Geek Life, you can either follow us on any of our personal socials. You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Bruce Bane, WRUSE_BANE. Sax, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Javen Shepherd, and they can find me on Twitch at _fattest_Sax. And
Jake, where can they find you?
You can find me at Gonzo Gone Live on Twitch, Twitter, and yeah, I'm usually here. I actually have a very I'm going to stream next week. I want to stream every episode of R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet. I didn't realize it was 33 episodes. Now I want to be clear. I don't support who R. Kelly became, but at a time, he made what may be one of the greatest hip operas of all time. And it's called Locked in the Closet. I only knew about 5 episodes. That was the extent of my knowledge. There's 33 of these bad boys. And so one of my first streams I want to do, and I've made this decision, is I want to watch all 33 of them. And we're going to go in. It's very crazy. It is not a PC hip opera by far, so don't cancel me. But but it's a wild ride, and it's one that I feel like everyone should go on. So we're going to go on it together.
That is a very interesting content choice. That is something that I think
my stream is bananas. I don't. We're not. We are non-binary.
What?
We just go with whatever we're feeling on that day, baby.
Oh my god.
That's not even okay.
Close
all
enough.
right. You can also check out some Geek Life content on YouTube and Instagram. There's a lot of great stuff going out on YouTube. We're gonna have a review coming on later this week of Greedfall, as well as a bunch of stuff going on Instagram. Twitch, Twitters, all the other places. A big shout out to our moderator, Littlest Nelly, and our video producer, Cape, and all of our followers for the support. Let's see if he's got anything going on in chat. Supersonic Flash has been talking about showing that Diamond and Pearl love. Can't wait to see Godzilla beat Kong. Okay, obviously Supersonic Flash is very much Team Godzilla. I've seen that. I've seen that in our Discord a lot. Supersonic Flash has been pretty big Godzilla stan. Also as Sax Gonzo mentioned in the chat, if we missed anything that you're super excited about, let us know. You can either let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can just tweet at us and message us any way you want to let us know. Let us know. We want to argue with you. And that's about it. I don't think did I miss anything. No, I think that's it, guys. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we will catch you guys next time. Till then, peace.
Peace.
Peace.